now. And we are live on YouTube. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone. Sammy Watkins or Antonio Brown. I like both of those guys as pretty sneaky prop bets. We're going to talk a ton about the prop bets on this stream. We're live on YouTube and TikTok now. We are live on both. You can go join that YouTube stream. Hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone. We're just getting kicked off. I will be live all the way up until around 1:30, 2 o'clock. And we're going to lock in all of our bets leading up to the game. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, Matt. Good to see you here. There is a lot to go through, and I have done a lot of analysis for this game to bring to all of you. I have rewatched every single game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have played this season. I have rewatched every single game that the Kansas City Chiefs have played this season, on top of, rewatching the games every week. So I've seen every single game at least twice for both of these teams. What's going on, Brian? Good to see you. If you're watching live on YouTube, definitely hit that like button. We're going to be going through a lot of bets today. There's no 100 likes to get some X amount of bets. We're going to be talking about a lot of different bets. Yes, I will be live right up until 1:30. Who should Patriots target? So many different players, but we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl because this is going to be an exciting NFL offseason. I'm very excited to get into it, but today's the Super Bowl. So we're going to be focused on the Super Bowl today. And I want to start off with the Chiefs offense. And I'm going to be going through really every facet of the game today, including a lot of different weird prop bets. But the Chiefs offense, I just have to talk about them first. And I'm taking the Chiefs in this game, so let me start with that. I'm taking the Chiefs. I've never picked against Tom Brady in the playoffs ever in my entire life, except for this game. And if you've been following me from the beginning of the season, I had the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. The people that have been following me from the beginning, I'm not going to give you my advice based on emotion. It is based on mathematical research and rewatching the games. And the math of the season, based on how these offenses performed and how these defenses performed, the Chiefs are absolutely favorites in this game. And I think that they should be closer to 5-point favorites than the 3-point favorites that most books have them at right now. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is the single biggest advantage in the NFL. And Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. I'm on that team. I believe Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. I honestly don't think there's much debate anymore. I don't think this game really has anything to do with that debate. I think that debate really ended in the Falcons Super Bowl. But Patrick Mahomes is a lot better than him right now. Tom Brady is 43 years old. Patrick Mahomes is in his prime, 25 years old. The Chiefs offense, most yards per game this season. The most games with at least 30 points. 10 games this year they had over 30 points. They were number one against the blitz, something that the Bucs do often, which we'll talk about today. Tyreek Hill has 300 yards, almost 300 yards in 2 playoff games. He torched this defense in the first half of the game last time they played. Again, I went back and watched every single game for both these teams this season over the past 2 weeks. And that game, Bucs versus Chiefs, was a very fun one to rewatch. Yes, Matt, before I go a little more into the Chiefs offense, I did see they pulled the national anthem prop after someone recorded the rehearsal. And I'm all on team beat Vegas. And why would they share this information so publicly? Matt, that's my question. If I was the man who actually went out there and recorded for those of you that didn't see this story, someone recorded the practice of the national anthem outside the stadium because you can bet on the over-under of how long it will last on a lot of sports books. But then they posted it on social media. It blew up, and all of the sports books took that line off their book. So I actually bet on the over there. So I think that's what ended up happening, but I don't remember exactly. Who would you start in the playoff league, Watkins or AB? Definitely, I would go with Antonio Brown there. And we're going to talk a lot about this Buccaneers offense, but let's continue with this Chiefs offense because their offensive line was a big strength point for them this season too. They allowed the 5th fewest sacks. They are without Eric Fisher, which he tore his Achilles against the Bills. Injuries are the single worst part of sports. And I feel for Eric Fisher, tearing his Achilles the game before the Super Bowl. He's probably not going to even be ready for the beginning of next season. So my heart is out for Eric Fisher, but Mike Remmers is going to be the one filling in for him. And he's a solid fill-in. If you're worried about the Chiefs' offensive line, which I think is a valid concern if you're someone like me who's on the Chiefs, their weakness is their guard, Andrew Wiley. He's going to be up against Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. Vita Vea. If the Chiefs lose this game, the person to blame is probably going to end up being Andrew Wiley, the guard, on the offensive line, trying to stop those defensive linemen. But guys, if you go back and watch that Chiefs and Buccaneers game, did you not see Tyreek Hill's Shannon Sharp impression? Help is on the way. I mean, this Chiefs offense is not going to be stopped. Playoff Lenny going to disappoint today, says Jake. Mahomes doesn't need time. No, he doesn't need time. Jake, that's the thing. And I'm glad, I'm going to give you my fully rational analysis of the game. The Buccaneers have a chance, by the way. I'm not saying this is a lock, but I'm absolutely picking the Kansas City Chiefs. And the reason is they were number one under pressure. When there was pressure on the quarterback, no quarterback was better this season with pressure than Patrick Mahomes. 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 130 quarterback rating. Under pressure. It doesn't even really matter if you get pressure on him. And if you don't get pressure on him, good luck. He's the best quarterback in the NFL without pressure too. Mahomes is the biggest advantage in the NFL. Quarterback is by far the most important position in the NFL. It's really not close. And that's why I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. And to me, and again, if you've been following me from the beginning, you know my NFL analysis, really my analysis on life and sports, things happen in a range of outcomes. When we're predicting things, we predict a range of outcomes. And there is a range of outcome today, a very realistic chance that the Kansas City Chiefs just destroy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is within the range of outcomes. And really not within the range of outcomes is the Buccaneers just destroying the Chiefs. That really can't happen because the Chiefs offense is so good that when they're behind in a game, they can get back so fast. They can score so quickly. And when you go back and watch some of these Chiefs games, and if you were to just look at the final score, it looked close. But if you really go back and watch the game, it wasn't that close. The Chiefs really were never in doubt, even when losing in the fourth quarter. It's Patrick Mahomes, not Tom Brady, that I would rather have in this game. The Bucs definitely need to push for sacks. And if you're playing DFS today, you got to go download the WalterPicks app if you haven't downloaded it yet on the iOS App Store. There is a bunch of free DFS advice in our DraftKings favorites and FanDuel favorites tools. Our optimizer does not work for single game slates yet. It will next season. But we do have DK favorites and FanDuel favorites in the app. What is going on, Marcus? Do you think Mahomes will be greater than Tom Brady? I'm not ready to say that. He's 25 years old, but he definitely has a chance. There is a definite non-zero chance that Patrick Mahomes at the end of his career could be the undisputed best quarterback of all time. Patrick Mahomes, guys, has lost one playoff game in his career. It was against Tom Brady. Yes, I am aware of that. He's lost one playoff game, though. If he wins the Super Bowl, he will have lost one playoff game in 3 years. Watkins has a big game odds. I like Sammy Watkins and Antonio Brown to have big games. I honestly like the props in the passing game for both teams. I like Watkins' prop. I like Mike Evans' prop today. I like Chris Godwin. I love Rob Gronkowski too. We have a free prop posted in the WalterPicks app, plus 2 more for the game today. I'll be talking through all of those on the live stream, though. And there's also some not in the app that I like and that I bet on today. And this is really the only time of the year where I will ever bet on things that aren't what Walter's predicting. It's the only time. Because it's the Super Bowl. It's the national betting holiday for the United States. This is a holiday in the United States. And it's a holiday of betting. This is the most money wagered in a single day every single year. And so, yeah, I am betting on Rob Gronkowski to get over 33 receiving yards. We know Tom Brady has a history of looking to his most trusted receiver when it matters most. And that won't surprise me when it's Rob Gronkowski and he needs 33 yards. This prop is never going to be out of reach at any point in this game. You could have 0 yards in the fourth quarter and he's probably still going to clear this prop of 33 yards. So I like Gronk over 33 yards. That one's not in the WalterPicks app. That one is just my personal opinion. Walter is projecting him right around 33 receiving yards. So this one's not from math, but I do like Gronk over 33 receiving yards. Just want to say, loved listening to you before the Sundays games this year. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun with these live streams. I appreciate everyone that's been around for these live streams all season long. I'm very excited for this last Super Bowl stream. I've done a lot of research on this game. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to win the game. I think that the money line is pretty intriguing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the spread is pretty intriguing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I parlayed every single prop I did today with the Kansas City Chiefs winning, as well as just the prop by itself. Who is most likely to win MVP besides a QB? It was probably Derrick Henry, or it was probably Travis Kelce. I honestly think Travis Kelce probably should have won Offensive Player of the Year over Derrick Henry. Travis Kelce did something this season that tight end has never done. He almost led the NFL in receiving yards. He would have led the NFL in receiving yards as a tight end if he played week 17. He didn't even play week 17. C.H. Williams, I'm so happy someone asked this. And thank you, Pete, for not mentioning Le'Veon Bell, because we decided a few weeks ago, if you've been watching me on these streams every Sunday, we decided a few weeks ago that Le'Veon Bell is washed. It's decided. It is final. There's no more talking about it. Le'Veon Bell needs to do something drastic for us to ever talk about him again. It's really Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Le'Veon Bell is washed. When Clyde Edwards-Helaire was out, Le'Veon Bell could not overtake Darrell Williams. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the best running back the Kansas City Chiefs have. It's honestly not very close. And Darrell Williams has actually done pretty well filling in for him. But I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire a lot. I like every single Clyde Edwards-Helaire prop a lot. He played more snaps than Darrell Williams last week, while he was still clearly playing through an injury. He's now had 2 weeks to heal up. 2 weeks to heal up. He's a good receiver. He was picked in the first round. We're going to talk a lot in the offseason about projecting rookies. One of the biggest, if you're actually going to model out projections for rookies, one of the most predictive things of if someone is successful is when they are picked. Draft value matters because draft value leads to opportunity. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire was picked in the first round to be a part of this offense, to be a weapon in this offense. And I do think that's what he is. Andy Reid comparing him to Brian Westbrook before the season. Let's not forget about that. And I'm probably going to be in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire next fantasy football season, even though he was my biggest bust this year. I picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round of way too many fantasy football drafts. But he's not going to cost that next season, which will be nice. And the rationale is there. He's behind the best offense in the NFL. He's the best running back on the team, and he's a good receiver. I like him to score a touchdown today. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown today. And if you're one of those people that bets on first touchdown, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score the first touchdown. It's like $50 to win over $1,000. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, first touchdown. If that happens, I'm cashing for $1,000. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy I'm going with for first touchdown. I'll tell you who I have on the Bucs side. I always like taking one player on each side. Again, if you're just joining, I always bet on the props in the WalterPicks app. We've had over 65% accuracy for over 2 years, over 200 prop picks identified using artificial intelligence. You can get all of those in the WalterPicks app. We also went 2 for 2 in NBA last night. The NBA product is off to a hot start, over 65% accuracy. We were in a drought too. We had, I think, 3 straight nights lower than 50% on the props. We're still over 65%, over double-digit units up on the NBA season so far. And for the NFL, we had 3 props identified for today, but there's a lot more that I like that we're going to be talking about on this stream. And one of those is Clyde Edwards-Helaire receiving yards, Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushing yards, and I like him to score a touchdown as well. Britt Reed, there was a sad story about the coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid's son, in a car accident, substance abuse potentially involved, children potentially injured. I don't think he's going to be coaching today. No, is what I read. Do you like the over? The over-under is interesting. I'm glad someone asked about this, and I did not bet on the over-under, so I'll lead with that, because over-unders are probably the single hardest bet to consistently win. But the over-under in this game, Tom Brady has scored a combined 3 points. 3 points in the first quarter in 9 Super Bowls. In total, 9 first quarters. In the Super Bowl, Tom Brady has scored 3 points. And the Chiefs have actually had pretty slow starts so far this playoffs too. So the over-under is interesting because we have these two high-powered offenses that can put up points, but have had extremely slow starts. The first, I think one of the most bet-on things in the Super Bowl right now is the first quarter under. And it's interesting. If this happens, though, if the Bucs do not score more than 3 points in the first quarter, they're going to lose. They need a touchdown in the first quarter to be able to win this game. The most likely Super Bowl MVP besides a quarterback. I understand the question now, Zach. I think my favorite bet there would probably be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Here's why. I think there's a range of outcome in this game, and I think it's going to be a close game. But I think there's the possibility in this game that the Chiefs completely destroy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that is within the range of outcomes of this game. If Tom Brady or the Buccaneers turn over the ball even just twice, this game is not going to be close. He had 3 interceptions in the second half against the Packers last week. And if the Chiefs do get a big lead, I do think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has multiple touchdowns in his range of outcomes today. So if it's not going to be a quarterback, I sneakily like Clyde. And yes, I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the number 1 rushing defense this season. Let's talk a little bit about this Bucs defense. They were top 10 in yards per game allowed. They were top 10 in stopping plays of 20-plus yards, which the Chiefs were number 1 in. They were top 10 against play action, which the Chiefs are top 2 in. They were 5th highest blitz rate, but we already said Mahomes is number 1 against the blitz. 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the blitz, 133 rating. They had the 2nd most QB hits this season. They just had 5 sacks against the Packers, who were the top 3 team preventing sacks this season. The Buccaneers also intercepted Aaron Rodgers 3 times this year, the MVP, really the undisputed MVP in my opinion. Mahomes, though, has only 6 interceptions on 600 attempts this season. That's the lowest interception percentage in the NFL. 1% of his passes were intercepted on 600 attempts. He had over 400 yards passing the last time he played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Aaron Rodgers just threw for almost 350 yards and 3 touchdowns against them just last game. I think that Mahomes is going to end up winning the game and winning the MVP. I like Clyde as a sneaky dart throw to win MVP, to score multiple touchdowns, and to have a much bigger game than what's being projected. But realistically, it's going to be Mahomes who wins the MVP, or it's going to be Brady who wins the MVP. It's almost always a quarterback. And it seems like that's going to be the case in this game as well. And I think that even though, guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is legit. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm picking the Chiefs in this game. But if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can get a lot of pressure, enough pressure to be sacking Mahomes, then that is their best window into winning this game. Their corners are not great. Sean Murphy-Bunting is okay. Carlton Davis has been good. Jamal Dean is okay. Safety Jordan Whitehead is pretty good. They're going to have to stop. They're going to have to stop Tyreek Hill like they did in the second half of the last game. But where their strength really is their linebacker group: Levante David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, and Jason Pierre-Paul. All 4 of those guys could have been all pros. Their defensive line: Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. This is where they can win the game. Their linebacking group and their defensive line, if they can sack Patrick Mahomes enough, that's their chance into winning this game. But again, the Chiefs offense, number 1 against the blitz, most yards per game. Threw for over 400 yards against this same exact defense not that long ago. Aaron Rodgers just threw for 350 against them. The Chiefs are allowing the 5th fewest sacks. And yes, they're without their left tackle, Eric Fisher, who tore his Achilles last game. But they have a pretty good fill-in. I'm picking the Chiefs offense over the Buccaneers defense in this game. But the Buccaneers defense is one of the outs that the Bucs have, and if they are hoping to win the game. And guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching live on TikTok, you got to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would love to get past 3,000 YouTube subscribers today. We're a little over 300 away. It's an ambitious goal. But if you aren't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We got a ton more NFL content coming in the offseason. I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Someone says, do you like Evans or Godwin? And this is a tricky one because the Kansas City Chiefs allowed the second fewest passing yards per game to receivers this season. The Chiefs defense, who I'm going to talk about in a second, is also really not like there's way too much time being talked about Tom Brady in this game, and Tom Brady's a big part of the game. But there's a lot more elements of this game than just Tom Brady. And one of those elements is the Chiefs defense, who second fewest yards allowed to receivers this season. The Chiefs defense has been good. At times this season, they've been great. And if the Chiefs defense can force more than two turnovers, really over one turnover, they're almost definitely going to win the game. But let's talk about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, because I like them a lot in this game still. Mike Evans, in 13 games this season, Mike Evans had at least 5 targets. In those games, he's averaging 83 yards per game. He's gone over 100 yards 38.5% of the time. He had 9 targets the last time he played the Chiefs. So 9 targets last time out. When he's getting over 5 targets, he's going over 80 yards. And I don't think you need to be concerned about the volume. I think he's going to see something like 9 targets in this game. They're going to have to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. If you're with me that the Chiefs offense is virtually unstoppable, which I believe it is, then you're with me that Mike Evans prop is intriguing. Over 63.5 receiving yards. Walter likes it, and I like it as well. He's projected for 74 receiving yards using our models. I like Mike Evans a lot over 63.5. And I think he has a pretty good chance to score a touchdown. But Chris Godwin is also someone that I like, and who's someone who we have been hammering this playoffs. We have hit 2 Chris Godwin props so far just in this playoffs. 5 times this season. 5 out of 5 times this season. When Walter has identified Chris Godwin as a good prop bet, he has come through for us. He's 5 for 5. And his line is over 73.5 in this game. He's had 5 straight games with at least 7 targets. He's averaging over 88 receiving yards per game in that span. He's gone for at least 75 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. Godwin turned 9 targets into 97 yards the last time he played the Chiefs. Mike Evans had 9 targets in that game too. I like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans a lot. I like both of their props a lot. Over 73.5 receiving yards for Chris Godwin. Over 63.5 for Mike Evans. I honestly think I like the Mike Evans one just a little bit more because the line is a little bit lower. Do you like CEH receiving props too? Yes, Philip. And we like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown today. I have $50 on him being the first touchdown scorer. If that happens, I win 1,000. Look at those odds on first touchdown scorer. And that's one of the worst bets you could make, by the way. Let me be transparent here. First touchdown scorer is not something I would ever bet on unless it was the Super Bowl. But I did today, and I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be that person. Listen, Darrell Williams out-touched Clyde Edwards-Helaire and against the Buffalo Bills. But he was also out-snapped. He was also out-snapped in that game. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire was in on the obvious passing situations. Darrell Williams was the guy in on the obvious running situations. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting 2 weeks to get healthy, we can expect him to lead the way. And I think he's going to lead in snaps again, maybe by a significantly larger margin. The Vegas implied total for the Chiefs, guys, they're going to score over 4 touchdowns in this game. They're going to go for at least 4 touchdowns, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have one of them. He's got a 45% chance to do it, according to Walter, our artificially intelligent algorithm we've been using to dominate prop bets all season, which makes any odds you're getting at plus 150 or better amazing. And I like his receiving prop too. I like his rushing prop too. I think he's going to be more involved than what people are projecting. Would you take Chiefs -3? You answered this already, but I missed. It's all good, Marcus. Yeah, I like the Chiefs spread. If you're going to bet on the spread, I would bet on the Chiefs. And if you're going to bet on the money line, I would bet on the Chiefs. I personally like the money line a little bit more. And I'm hoping, part of the reason is, let's talk a little bit about Mattress Mac for a second. We had our first TikTok video over 1 million views this week. Shout out to Mattress Mac, who needs the Buccaneers to lose, but not by more than 3.5 points. So I'm kind of hoping that the Chiefs win by 1, 2, or 3 in this game for my guy Mattress Mac. How do you think Sammy Watkins will play today? Listen, Sammy Watkins really shows up for 2 games every season. He shows up for the first game of the season, excuse me. And he does well, just like he did this season, just like he did last season. And then he kind of And then it kind of just falls into the background of the Chiefs offense. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce take the front. Then they get to the Super Bowl, and here's Sammy Watkins again. And yeah, I think Sammy Watkins is, I like his prop today too. I think Sammy Watkins is a sneaky option today. This will be, Marcus, the last football live of the season, but we'll be live again in the offseason. We have a ton of offseason content coming. We have a ton of new tools coming to the WalterPicks app. Do you like the Fournette props, playoff Lenny? I don't. I haven't liked them all playoffs because I'm nervous about Ronald Jones. But playoff Lenny seems to be a thing. It seems to be a real thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching staff has bought into. And guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. Do appreciate it. But I do think, I really do think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown is one of my favorite bets. I think that's one of my favorite bets. And Fournette is a guy who's been more involved than really projected each week. He's touched the ball more than we expected. And it's hard to predict that backfield when Ronald Jones really was the very clear running back one in that offense. Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch one week. But in this playoffs, it's very clear they want to ride Leonard Fournette. So if you're going to choose a running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would go with Leonard Fournette. And I do like, if you're betting on first touchdown, I like to bet on the running backs. Running backs score about 45% of touchdowns in the NFL. So I do like Leonard Fournette and Clyde if you're going to go with first touchdown. I also like Antonio Brown to score the first touchdown as well. Antonio Brown's props are intriguing. And I think Antonio Brown, I said that one of the outs that I think the Buccaneers have to win this game is their defensive line and linebacker crew just getting so much pressure on Mahomes that they sack him at least 5 times. But I think another out they have is this offense with Antonio Brown. If Antonio Brown is healthy, if Antonio Brown is truly healthy, then this offense is basically unguardable. You cannot guard Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski, and Cameron Brate. You can't guard all of these players. You can't. There's no defense in the NFL that can match up with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown. And if Antonio Brown is healthy, it is going to have an impact on this game, and I think he's going to score a touchdown. And so I do like Antonio Brown to score a TD as well. And that is my bet on the Buccaneers side for first touchdown score. If Antonio Brown, a $50 bet on Antonio Brown to score the first touchdown of the game, nets about $1,000. Same thing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game, though. And so I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit more than Antonio Brown's props. I think that the Chiefs' offense is virtually unstoppable. Do you like full game over 4.5 sacks at plus money? Yeah, I do. I do like that one. Even if the Chiefs don't get a sack, I think that one could be still doable. Over 4.5 sacks today. I don't hate it. Do you like Hardman or CEH more today? Zach, I like CEH, but I'm glad you brought up Mecole Hardman. And Sammy Watkins is playing today. So you really can't be excited about Mecole Hardman's receiving stats. He should touch the ball at least once if the Chiefs are still being intelligent, giving their fastest players the ball. He should touch the ball at least once on offense. But I think where Mecole Hardman could have his biggest impact is in the kickoff game. Listen to this nugget. The Buccaneers allowed the most yards per game on kickoffs this season. There was no team that was worse against kickoffs than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could not stop kickoffs better than any other team in the NFL. Meanwhile, Mecole Hardman, one of the fastest humans on the face of the earth, someone who rivals Tyreek Hill for speed. Watch out for a Mecole Hardman return today, guys. He's going to take one for at least 20 yards. Kelce over 7.5 receptions is a lock. I don't think it's a lock, but I do like Kelce and Tyreek Hill today. You can't stop both of them. Which one do you want to stop, Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because if you're going to be stopping Tyreek Hill, who absolutely torched you for 200 yards in the first quarter the last time you played, then you're going to struggle to stop Travis Kelce. But I do think if there's a team that can stop both, it could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their linebacker crew is the best linebacker crew in the NFL. They have 3 all-pro linebackers. They didn't all make the all-pro team, but in my mind, they're that good. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, Lavonte David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, and Jason Pierre-Paul, those are all top 20 linebackers in the NFL. They have 4 of them. They arguably have 2 top 5 linebackers. And they're pretty good in coverage, too. But Travis Kelce is on an entirely another level. Travis Kelce's having the best tight end season of all time, in my opinion. He's been virtually unstoppable every single game this season. And I do think that one of the trends, I believe quarterback is by far the most important position in the NFL, and it's really not close. And that's why part of the reason why I like the Chiefs to win today, because Patrick Mahomes, guys, he's better than a 43-year-old Tom Brady. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's the GOAT. And I get it. Don't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs, but also don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I don't think I will ever bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, maybe until he's 43 years old, just like I did with Tom Brady. And I think that there is a chance that Patrick Mahomes at the end of his career, when he hangs it up, ends up being the greatest quarterback of all time. He's obviously not yet. Michael, the props that Walter likes today, they're all in the WalterPicks app. There's even one showing for free. I've already actually talked about all of them on this live stream. But Walter's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire today to score a touchdown. I like the other Clyde props as well, but Walter did not identify those. He also identified Chris Godwin and Mike Evans today. Two guys I think are seeing at least 9 targets. I like both of them a lot. But I also like Rob Gronkowski's receiving yard prop. 33 yards. We know Tom Brady looks towards the tight end and looks towards his most reliable receivers when it matters most. And that could be Rob Gronkowski in this game. And I think that even at 33 yards, Gronk could have 0 yards heading into the fourth quarter and to clear this prop in one play. But I do think if we're going back to who's going to win this game, the Kansas City Chiefs defense could win them this game fast. If the Kansas City Chiefs defense steps up and stops the Buccaneers offense, if the Buccaneers offense is held to 3 points or less in the first quarter, which, by the way, again, Tom Brady has never scored more. He, in total, 9 first quarters in a Super Bowl. This is his 10th. In his 9 first quarters in a Super Bowl, he scored a combined 3 points. He has had some slow starts, and trust me, as a Patriots fan, he always makes it very stressful. And he threw 3 interceptions in his last half of football. He threw 2 interceptions the last time he played against the Chiefs. There's a lot of pressure on Tom Brady in this game to do well. And if he doesn't do well, especially in this first quarter, early in the game, this game could be a blowout. And I think that's going to benefit Clyde Edwards-Helaire. CEH to lead the game in rushing is at plus 290. I absolutely love it. I love that one. I did not see that one. I think there's over 800 props. Didn't see that one. I like it, Phil. CEH to lead the game in rushing. Blazing Noah is asking, where do you think Watson's going to go this offseason? I think it's going to be an absolute mess for the Houston Texans. I think that they should trade him ASAP. This is only going to get worse for them. And we're going to talk a lot about Deshaun Watson. Any team that lands him is a huge, huge winner in whatever deal they make. I'd basically be willing to give up anything. I'd give up my next 5 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson if I had to. Having a top 5 quarterback in the NFL is such a tremendous advantage that you have to do it. And it's why the Houston Texans are so royally screwed. They have no options. But I think they might actually just not trade him and just fine him. I think that's actually something they might do. And it's going to be ugly. Kelce, but we're going to talk about his best landing spots after the Super Bowl. Kelce over under 93.5 yards. Listen, I'm never going to take Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill's under. That's not something I would ever advise. So if you're going to make me pick one, I'm going to go with the over. But I think he's going to get right around that. And that's what we have him projected for, right around 94 receiving yards. I think it's a pretty fair line. Favorite DFS plays today. Yeah, we got a bunch of them. If you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel, in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store, which we've been using to absolutely dominate DFS this NFL season. We've had people place in the top 3 of some of the biggest tournaments on FanDuel and DraftKings using the WalterPicks app this season. Subscription costs $5 a month. People have won tens of thousands of dollars using it. And we like Clyde Edwards-Helaire in DFS today too. But if you're playing a single game slate, you almost need Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in your lineup. Going to be the 2 most owned players today. And at the cheaper side, I do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and I like Rob Gronkowski. I like Watson to the Jets. I don't because I'm a Patriots fan. But if Watson went to the Jets, I think it could make a lot of sense. But I think that it's probably the worst case scenario for Deshaun Watson. Is there a worse place for him to land than the New York Jets? I do think Denzel Mims is someone I would be all in on, though, in terms of fantasy. I probably already will be, depending on his cost next season. Absolutely love Kyle Pitts in the NFL draft, who may be going to your Pats. Yeah, I like Kyle Pitts too. We're going to be doing a lot of draft talk leading up to the NFL draft. Do you like Fournette or Evans more today? Absolutely. I like Mike Evans more. I definitely like Mike Evans more. But if you're going to bet on Leonard Fournette, I recommend the receiving prop. Tom Brady checking down to his running back in the Super Bowl is about a tale as old as time. Leonard Fournette receiving prop could be a lock. Do you like Fournette? I don't think Fournette is a lock by any means, by the way. I think Ronald Jones has been lurking in the shadows to take over really this entire playoffs. Yeah, it looks like Carson Wentz is going to be traded too. Dak Prescott most likely going to get franchise tagged, but he's kind of in limbo as well. Is Jameis Winston going to be re-signed? There's a lot of quarterback talk for this offseason. It's going to be one of the most exciting offseasons in the NFL. And I really hope they can have a normal preseason this upcoming year, and we can get better insights into these teams before the season. Best props today. Let me run through them very quickly if you're just joining. We like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans a lot. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's probably going to score a touchdown. I also like Rob Gronkowski's props. I like Antonio Brown to score a touchdown. There is infinite props that you could bet on today. But if you're going to bet on one, if you're only betting on one prop today, my advice to you would be to bet on Chris Godwin. Sam, what's up, brother? Been a minute. What's the best bet of the day? Well, I think, honestly, that the bet I'm most confident in today is probably Chris Godwin. But I feel like a big part of my following is New England Patriots and Tom Brady fans. And a lot of them are betting on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the game or to cover the spread. And I understand why. Because betting and backing Tom Brady has won us all money in our lifetimes. If you are a Patriots fan, Tom Brady, and you sports bet, you probably made money from Tom Brady. And I understand never betting against Tom Brady in the playoffs has been a good strategy most of our lifetime for the last 20 years. But this game is different. He's up against Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Patrick Mahomes is significantly better than Tom Brady right now. So I'm taking the Chiefs to win. My rational, mathematical opinion, based on what I've researched this past 2 weeks, I've gone back and rewatched every game, based on our 10,000 simulations of the game, which give the Chiefs a 58% chance to win the game. I believe the Chiefs are going to win. And I think there's a possibility that it's actually not even close. After all week, the big talking heads around the NFL have all been talking about Tom Brady. It's been the biggest topic of conversation. But I think there's more at play than just Tom Brady in this game, who's not the best player in the game. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in this game. And again, Tom Brady's the greatest player of all time. He's not the greatest in the NFL right now, though. There's a difference there. Didn't you put money on the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl a couple weeks back? Carter, thank you for leading me into this. Yes, I did. I always place around probably 2 to 4 futures in the NFL, usually a couple before the NFL season, and then usually a couple right before the playoffs start. And here's the futures I bet on this year. I bet on the Jets to go under 6.5 wins. That was an absolute lock. I honestly probably should have bet my life savings on that one. I was baking in that maybe Adam Gase would get fired halfway through the year and they could win some games, but that didn't happen. That was an absolute lock. I also bet on the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl because it was 2020 and it would have been the most poetic ending to the year of 2020. There would be no more poetic ending to the worst year ever than the Cleveland Browns heading to the Super Bowl. And they actually had a chance. They were one touchback away really from beating the Chiefs. And then before the playoffs started, I put $50 on the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC and the Super Bowl, and $50 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the NFC and to win the Super Bowl. So that bet's already paid for itself. And now I have 50 to win 500 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game, which I have hedged, by the way, because again, I think the Chiefs are going to win. So I'm hedging my bet. I'll take the $250 that bet won me. And I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. But yes, I do have $50 to win 500 that the Buccaneers will win this game. That was a great future bet. They have a good defense. Godwin over or under 72.5 receiving yards. Thank you, Hemi. Yeah, over for Chris Godwin, over for Mike Evans. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. I know that Fisher is out. I am aware. It is sad because this is the worst game to be missing. So I feel for Eric Fisher. Tore his Achilles, one of the worst injuries in sports. Injuries are the single worst part of sports. So I feel for Eric Fisher. But the Chiefs' offensive line, that part of the offensive line is really not what I would be concerned about. I think that they're going to have a pretty good fill-in in Mike Reimers. I think he's going to do fine. What I would be concerned about is Andrew Wiley, who if the Chiefs lose this game, probably the person to blame is going to end up being Andrew Wiley, who is the worst part of the offensive line for the Chiefs this season. And he's up against a healthy Vita Vea. I don't say his name correctly. And then they got Ndamukong Suh. Both these guys are top 10 at their position. The ultimate question today, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? Listen, I think that Travis Kelce is more of a lock than Tyreek Hill. But when it comes to prop bets, I love Tyreek Hill because whatever his prop is, really no matter what it is, and I think it's around 94 yards, there's going to, it is only going to take 2 plays for Hill to do it. And so Tyreek Hill could be at 13 receiving yards in the fourth quarter, and he could cover his prop, really regardless of what the line is. Yeah, I agree, B-Money. If you're still watching it on TikTok, you got to come out, check out the YouTube live stream. The chat in YouTube is much better. It's much better. It's much less spammy, and people help each other out in the YouTube live stream. So you got to come over to the YouTube live if you haven't started watching on YouTube yet, and hit that subscribe button. I set a goal to get it to 3,000 YouTube subscribers today. I would love to do it. It's a big goal. We started about 330 below that this morning. Don't know what we're at now. We got 2 hours left in this live stream. So we're a little under halfway through. I'll be ending around 1:30 Eastern. Over for Fournette and Clyde in yards. I like Clyde more than Fournette. But if you're betting on Fournette, I think you should go with the receiving yards. Tom Brady throwing to his running backs in the Super Bowl is a tale as old as time. It's a tale as old as time. If you're watching live on YouTube, guys, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. It helps me out more than you realize. There's absolutely no way that CEH goes off with Vita Vea healthy now. Yeah, listen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is number 1 against the run this season. There's no defense better against the run. Not a single defense. But they also have a lot to worry about with this Chiefs offense. How are they going to stop Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill? And I don't know if you can do both of those things and also stop the run. So it's going to be, in the reason I'd like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and don't get me wrong, being the number 1 run defense matters. It does matter. But Clyde's line is 30 yards, 30.5 yards. And I think there's a range of outcomes where the Chiefs destroy the Buccaneers in this game. And if that happens, Clyde's going to clear all of his props. If the Chiefs win by at least 10, Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably scored a touchdown. He probably rushed for over 33 yards, and he probably received over 15 receiving yards too. Why did the NBA prop success rate go up after 1-3 on Friday? Because we went 2 for 2 on Saturday, Spencer. That's why it's up. So we're 3 out of 5 in our last 5. What prop bets? We went 2 for 2 last night in the NBA. We've had over 65% accuracy on NBA bets so far. Just on the props, just like the NFL. If you haven't caught on to those yet, you got to go subscribe in the WalterPicks app. You're going to get a 3-day free trial. And if you win money on any of my advice today, all I want is just go subscribe in the WalterPicks app. It's $5 a month right now. On Friday night, I don't think that was actually the case, Spencer. I don't think that was the case. What bets do you bet on during the NFL and NBA offseason? Probably be talking a lot about the futures of the NFL. And that in that time, it's going to be a small window of time. But we'll see when that time gets here, Jay. Easy money last night in the NBA. That is correct, Grady. Doncic absolutely going off. Brandon Ingram has been one of the most cash players this season. Gatorade color. Yeah, I think I posted a TikTok video about the Gatorade color earlier, a couple weeks ago, maybe, right when the Super Bowl week started. Can you do NHL? We're thinking about expanding to more sports, Jack. We're in the process of talking about it. NHL is on the roadmap. Have a good day. You too, Alex. Yeah, it's going to be a Super Bowl like no other. Super Bowl where the stadium is not full and a lot of people won't be gathering like they normally do. So I hope everyone has a safe Super Bowl as well. Listen, I think that there's two possible ways for the Buccaneers to win this game. I think one of them starts with their defensive line. If they can sack Patrick Mahomes, they sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times in their last game. And the Packers were good against. They were top 5 in the NFL in preventing sacks, just like the Chiefs are top 5 in the NFL in preventing sacks. But the Bucs defense had 5 against them last week. And I think that's their chance at winning this game. Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, Levante David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, and Jason Pierre-Paul. The 6 players I just named, there's not a group of 6 players on a defense better than that in the NFL. You can't name a single list of 6 players on an NFL defense that's better than those 6 players. And so, yeah, I think that's their chance, especially with an injury on the offensive line for the Chiefs. But again, Patrick Mahomes is number 1 in the NFL under pressure this season. He has 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions when blitzed. He's the number 1 quarterback under pressure. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. If Patrick Mahomes is getting passes off, they're going to struggle to win this game. Thoughts on Ronald Jones and Mike Evans? Yeah, listen, Ronald Jones is someone I was intrigued by last game because he really was the lead running back for this team all season. And there was even a game late in the year where Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch. But playoff Lenny is a real thing, so I wouldn't be betting on Ronald Jones. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have clearly bought into playoff Lenny. Who you have in the captain spot on FanDuel and DraftKings? Listen, if you're not going with Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, which you probably should, but if you're not going with either of those 2 guys, then I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire for all the reasons I've already explained. I think he has a legit chance, a better than expected chance to score multiple touchdowns in this game. He's the starting running back on the best offense in the NFL, a team that's projected to score at least 4 touchdowns today. And yes, he's up against the number 1 run defense, but he's also a great receiver. So I do like Clyde as the captain in a few lineups. If you're running on DraftKings or FanDuel, I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in my captain slot on a few of my lineups. I maxed out some of the $3 entry ones. And if Clyde ends up having a multiple touchdown day, it's going to be a very good day for me. I want to put $500 on something. What do I put it on? Listen, if you have $500 and you only want to put it on one thing, which I wouldn't recommend because you can bet that on a variety of things, but I would recommend having some of it on the Chiefs to win the game because I think the Chiefs are going to take this one. And I wouldn't bet against the best quarterback in the NFL. But what I would take as well is Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin to go over their receiving yards props. I like if you have $500, take 50 of those dollars, put it on Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Antonio Brown to score the first touchdown. It's like 50 to win 1,000. I also am a big fan of Rob Gronkowski's props today. 33 yards. We know Tom Brady's going to be looking for his most reliable targets in this game. He always does. He always looks at his most trusted receivers in the most important parts of the game, and that could end up being Rob Gronkowski. I'll take the first TD bet too, though. Yeah, money line is what I like, and another reason why I like the money line is I'm rooting for the Bucs. I'm rooting for the Chiefs to win by only 1, 2, or 3 because I want Mattress Mac to win. Shout out to Mattress Mac, who put $3.5 million in the Buccaneers spread after running a promotion in his store that if the Buccaneers win, everyone gets whatever they bought for free. And if the Buccaneers lose but cover the 3.5 point spread, this man just made a lot of money. Tails. Someone said Pat McAfee bet $33,000 or $30,000 or $10,000 on tails, something crazy like that. If you're betting on the coin toss, I honestly think I would go tails as well. But I would not. That's not something I would bet on. I think it's minus 105 odds. What are your thoughts on Scotty Miller? Don't love him. I don't really like any of the receivers outside the top 3 on either team because Antonio Brown's playing and Sammy Watkins is playing. And so I don't think Scotty Miller is going to get much run. Someone just asked Le'Veon Bell to score a touchdown. Listen, you must be new here. We don't talk about Le'Veon Bell on the stream anymore. He's been confirmed washed. He's confirmed washed up. It was confirmed a few weeks ago. It's okay if you missed it. But we will not be discussing Le'Veon Bell on this stream. He is washed up. Darrell Williams has been playing over him for some time now with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is now back. By the way, though, one of the storylines in this NFL, Le'Veon Bell versus Antonio Brown. How are you feeling, Steelers fans? Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell is going to win a Super Bowl today. I think it's going to end up being Le'Veon Bell, too. And yeah, Le'Veon Bell was probably, by the way, one of my biggest misses. I'll talk about my misses all the time. And one of my biggest misses, I think there's a lot to learn from your misses. Some of the time, at least. And Le'Veon Bell was a big miss for me this fantasy football season. I traded and acquired him in a lot of leagues because I'm very bullish on the Chiefs' offense. It's the same reason I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire going into the season. But Le'Veon Bell is washed. Who do you got winning? I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game. We ran 10,000 simulations of the game, and they won 58% of the time. They have the best offense in the NFL. AB is absolutely not a model citizen. I don't think you should strive to be like Antonio Brown. But Antonio Brown is certainly a bigger part of the Bucs offense than Le'Veon Bell is a part of the Chiefs offense. And I like Antonio Brown to score a touchdown today. Again, I bet on 2 players to score the first touchdown today. $50 bet on each of them. That's about $1,000. Antonio Brown to score the first touchdown and Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score the first touchdown. And if you're riding that with me and it hits, I hope you take some of that money and subscribe to the WalterPicks app. Chiefs O-line going to be garbage. Listen, they're without – this is the thing about the Chiefs offensive line. That the reason people are saying it's going to be garbage, and I understand the take, but I think you got to do a little bit further analysis. And again, I went back and watched every single Chiefs game. And I watched every single Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. And yes, they're going to be without Eric Fisher, who tore his Achilles against the Bills. And yes, that is a downgrade. But they also have Reich Remmers, who's a veteran and is a solid fill-in for him. Like, I'm not that worried about him. Who I am worried about is guard Andrew Wiley, who was going to be playing whether or not Eric Fisher was injured. He's been their worst piece of the offensive line all season, and he has to go up against Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. So good luck to him. And I think that matchup specifically, Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea versus Andrew Wiley, is where the Buccaneers can win the game. I really think that is the matchup that they could win with. The offense is going to have to play well too. And let's talk a little bit about the Buccaneers offense. We haven't really talked at all about them. And I did that intentionally because most of the topic of conversation in the last 2 weeks has been about the Buccaneers offense, specifically about Tom Brady. And I don't think that's the only piece of this game. It's a big storyline, I understand. But he's been the greatest of all time, really since the Falcons Super Bowl. And to me, this game has nothing to do with the greatest of all time conversation other than Mahomes trying to chase down Tom Brady to be the greatest of all time. But Patrick Mahomes, again, he's better than Tom Brady right now. But Tom Brady's the greatest ever. All right, so let's talk about the Buccaneers offense a little bit. They led the NFL in deep attempts per game, something that I was praising them for all season and was part of the reason I placed that futures bet on the Buccaneers. Passing is the most important thing in the NFL. Offensive efficiency is the most important thing, and passing is the biggest thing that impacts offensive efficiency. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers throwing the ball deep the most per game in the NFL is an advantage that they have. They had the second most passing yards per game this year, just behind the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not a coincidence, everyone. Passing matters. Brady, though, he threw in the first half against the Packers. He threw 260 yards, 3 TDs. He looked great. Hit Godwin on a couple deep balls. But then he had 3 interceptions in the second half. Listen, Tom Brady, guys, he threw 40 touchdowns this year at the age of 43. 43 years old, this man threw 40 touchdowns. Absolutely insane what Tom Brady was able to do this season. And it's not all because of Tom Brady. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. He had weapons. The offensive line has been good too. But he hasn't been perfect. He threw 3 interceptions last week against the Packers. If he does that in this game, he will not win. He threw 2 last time they played the Chiefs. If he throws 2 interceptions today, then the Buccaneers are not winning the game. I think Antonio Brown could be the X factor for this offense, though. Because when Antonio Brown is healthy, this offense really can't be guarded. You really can't be guarded. And if you're betting on the money line, I see someone saying, what are we betting money line today? It's the Chiefs, guys. The Chiefs are better than the Buccaneers. They should be favorites. They should honestly be favored by a little more than they are. We're seeing a large group of people who love Tom Brady, which is understandable, the greatest quarterback of all time. A lot of the people betting on the Buccaneers today, Tom Brady has already made them so much money that they just got to keep backing their horse. And I understand that. But it's not going to be today against Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the NFL. Man City or Liverpool? I would go Man City. I haven't talked much soccer on this stream. The running game for the Buccaneers has also been very good. Playoff Lenny is averaging 4.5 yards per game against the Green Bay Packers. Ronald Jones averaged over 5.1 yards per carry this season. Again, playoff Lenny, 4.5 yards per carry just again in his last game against the Packers, who didn't have a very good run defense this season, but neither did the Chiefs. The Chiefs' run defense is bottom 10 in the NFL. So don't be surprised if we see playoff Lenny or Ronald Jones get more touches than usual. But if you're rooting for the Buccaneers to win the game, I don't think you should be rooting for that. There's a lot of people saying that the chance for the Buccaneers to win is slow the game down. A lot of people were saying this for the Browns too. Slow the game down. Beat them on the ground. That's their weakness on defense. The problem with that is running does not lead to as many points as passing, and you need to put up points to be able to beat the Chiefs. Look at the last 5 times that the Chiefs lost. In all of those games, they're allowing at least 30 points. You need to score at least 30 points to have any chance to beat the Chiefs. And again, this is why if we're talking about range of outcomes, which I think is the right way to approach analysis in the NFL and really in sports in general, the range of outcomes in this game, the Chiefs really don't have a potential outcome, a realistic potential outcome of getting blown out. But the Buccaneers do. Because if they can only score 7 or 3 points or no points in the first quarter, they're going to get behind very quickly. How much do you think the game being in Tampa helps the Buccaneers? Yeah, listen, in most other years, it would have helped much more because we would have had a fully packed stadium and the Kansas City Chiefs would have had to come to Tampa earlier in the week, and there would have been this big media week, bigger than there was this season. It didn't really feel like a normal 2 weeks of Super Bowl week, just like most of the season wasn't normal. And I think it's not going to be that big of an advantage, would be my general answer to the question. It's nice that they got to kind of stick to their home routines throughout these 2 weeks, but the Kansas City Chiefs kind of did too. They got to stay in Kansas City a little bit longer than they normally would. And there's going to be a 1/3 or 1/4 capacity of the stadium. It's not going to be all Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. So I don't think it's a huge, huge deal. I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs really care that it's in Tampa. And there's going to be no cannons. There's a big debate about will there be cannons shot when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers score. This is not a home game for them by the official rules of the NFL. Jake says, hey, Sam, just wanted to pop in and say thanks for all the help this year in fantasy, man. I look forward to next season's content. I appreciate that, Jake, and I'm looking forward to next season too. These 2 weeks of Super Bowl week, really week 1 of Super Bowl week, I spent planning for next season. I'm already planning for the next NFL season, and it's going to be a good one. We got a lot of exciting things coming, and we're going to be doing a ton of fantasy football draft content heading up to the fantasy football season next year. So make sure you're following us on our social media channels. Make sure you download the WalterPicks app if you haven't downloaded yet. Do you like parlay insurance? I don't like parlay insurance, no. Darrell Williams under everything. I like that. I like that, and it goes with my narrative that I like about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I'm okay with Darrell Williams under everything in this game because all Darrell Williams does is run. He's not the receiving back. He was only really in for running plays in his last game, and they're up against the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. Number 1. Do I need to read you that list of 6 players that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have on their defense again? Because it's the best list of 6 players that any defense can come up with in the NFL. Levante David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, and Vita Vea. All 6 of those guys at any given point of the season could have been all pros. There's not a better 6 players on a defensive side of the ball in the NFL than those 6 players. Darrell Williams under I like, and I don't even remember what the line is. It's probably in the 30s, but I would take the Darrell Williams under, and I like Clyde's to score a touchdown. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score in this game. Again, I think the Chiefs have a good chance. I think there's a realistic chance that this game is very high scoring and that this game is a blowout in the Chiefs' favor. Both of those things are very possible. And if either of those things happens, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire scores a touchdown. I think he hits his receiving prop, and I honestly won't be surprised if he hits his rushing prop. It's around 33 yards. I outbreak KM25. I do like Gronk over 30 receiving yards. Yes. And the great thing about Gronk, first of all, we know Tom Brady's going to be looking to his most reliable target at some point in this game. He's going to have at least one catch. And even if Gronk has not had a catch in the fourth quarter, that prop is still very much alive, especially if the Chiefs get an early lead and they really need to throw a lot. Who's your other first TD scorer other than Antonio Brown? Ronnie, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and it's Leonard Fournette. I like all three of those guys to score the first touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette. What's the difference between Champion Special and Superfan Champion? Jay, no difference. We launched different namings of pricings as different app releases went out into the App Store. There is no difference. They both fully unlock the WalterPicks app. I appreciate everybody subscribing in the app, by the way. If you've enjoyed the advice, if the advice wins you some money today, the only thing I ask of you, check out the WalterPicks app. Start the 3-day free trial. See if it's worth it. It's only $5 a month. Most people that have been subscribed have made significantly more than what they're subscribing with. We went 2 for 2 on our NBA props last night. We'll be posting any off-season or draft content on YouTube. Jake, we're going to have a ton of content on YouTube. That's why I'm telling everyone, hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching live. We're going to dominate our fantasy football leagues together next season. That content's going to be coming out very soon. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score TD in the first half is plus 300. Yeah, any Clyde TD prop I think is probably a little underweighted. I think that all of those odds are pretty good. Again, our odds have him at 45% chance to score a touchdown today. Right around the percentage of touchdowns running back score, which is why I like Leonard Fournette, potentially first touchdown too. Antonio Brown is a guy I liked a lot this season too. The offseason is about to be crazy. This is going to be one of the craziest NFL off seasons of our lifetime. We have star quarterbacks on the move. Where's Deshaun Watson going to go? Are they really going to not trade him and start finding him? Because that doesn't seem like a good option for the Texans, though they're known to take not good options in the past. I mean, they led themselves to this situation by continuing to make the wrong decisions as an ownership, at the ownership level of the organization. And I don't know if that trend's going to stop. Maybe Deshaun Watson's not traded. Maybe this gets him a lot worse before it gets better for Deshaun Watson. But Carson Wentz looks like he's on the move. Deshaun Watson's probably on the move. Dak Prescott the Cowboys have put themselves in a terrible situation. We're going to talk about that a lot this offseason too. You hear about Carson Wentz in Chicago talk. Yeah, I think Carson Wentz to Chicago and Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts, both of those make a ton of sense. And I think that's where he's going to end up, one of those two teams. Brady has only scored 3 points in all of his Super Bowls in the first quarter ever. So AB at first TD, a move. Listen, the only reason I took Antonio Brown at first TD is I like having one player on each team. Because the worst thing when you bet on the first touchdown is when the other team that you bet on, say we only bet on Clyde first touchdown, the Buccaneers get the kickoff, they score a touchdown, and we never really even had a chance with the bet. That's why I always bet on at least one player on each team if I'm going to bet on the first touchdown. And this is the only time of year I bet on that bet because it's really not a good bet. But it's the Super Bowl. It's the national betting holiday of the year. So, yeah, I like Clyde to score first touchdown. I like Antonio Brown to score first touchdown. But Alec, I like that you pointed out that stat because it's a very intriguing stat heading into this game. Tom Brady has played in 9 Super Bowls. He has had 9 first quarters in a Super Bowl. In those 9 first quarters, he has scored a combined 3 points. Man, that's a trend Tom Brady's going to want to end in this one. Because if they only score 3 or less points in this first quarter, they are going to lose the game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will not be able to. Are you taking the over or under? That first quarter stat makes the under and over very interesting because I think both of these offense has a very real chance to put up 30-plus points in this game. So if I was betting on the over-under, I'd probably take the over. But there is a pretty good chance that this game actually starts out pretty slow. The Chiefs have also started pretty slow in their most recent games. So that makes it a little more interesting. And I think I had a friend text me this week that his plan, and I actually kind of liked his plan, is to not bet on the over-under, but if it starts slow, if we have under 10 points scored in this first quarter, which I think is around the line, then live bet the over. And I don't hate that strategy. I really don't. Do you like AB scoring first TD only because of the odds? Yes, Ronnie, because it's about $50 to win 1,000. And I think Antonio Brown's going to be one of Brady's favorite red zone targets. By the way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, top 10 in the red zone this season. The Chiefs defense, bottom 10 in the red zone this season. So if they can get in the red zone, I think Antonio Brown's going to find a lot of success. And I think Antonio Brown is one of the keys to the Buccaneers winning this game. I think there's really two different things at play here to me that I'm seeing to have the Buccaneers upset the Chiefs in this game. And it would be an upset. A lot of people are overconfident in this Tom Brady pick. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but anyone that's telling you confidently, without doubt, that Tom Brady's winning this game, I don't think can be trusted. Because they're up against the best quarterback in the NFL, the best offense in the NFL, and the Chiefs' defense has been good. But I think Antonio Brown can make this team unguardable. If he's really healthy, and Antonio Brown really has looked better in each game he's played. Again, I went back and watched every single game of the Buccaneers this season. And when you watch Antonio Brown's first game through, I think his 6 or 7 games he played this year, he looks better in every single game. And I think that it's pretty much impossible to guard Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin all in the field together. There's no three players in a defense and across the league that can match up with those 3 guys. Sam, what do you think the best player prop picks today are? Listen, I'd like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's props too. Who are you cheering for? Listen, I'm rooting. I have a couple different things at play here. I'm rooting for the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are going to win. And so I have some money on the Chiefs winning the game. So I'm rooting for them in that sense. But I'm rooting for Tom Brady in the sense of there's way too many people that still don't realize that he's the greatest of all time. And so I'll always be rooting against those people who really they really should have come around a few years ago. It's been a while now that they've been wrong. Tom Brady is very clearly the greatest of all time, and we're not saying he's the most talented. That's something different. And if you've played sports, you know the most talented people aren't always the best. They're not always the greatest. And that's why Tom Brady is the greatest. He had the talent, he had the leadership, and he's always shown up when it matters most. And he's 43 years old, and he threw 40 touchdowns this season. And he's in the Super Bowl again for the 10th time. He's very clearly the greatest of all time. But Patrick Mahomes is better than him, and I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to win this game. He's better than him right now. Is Le'Veon Bell playing today? Again, you must be new here. We're done talking about Le'Veon Bell. He's been washed up for a while. By a while, I mean 2 weeks. We officially declared him washed up. 2 weeks, guys, Le'Veon Bell was healthy in the playoffs with Clyde Edwards-Helaire injured, and he was getting significantly outplayed and outtouched by Darrell Williams. Le'Veon Bell is not a factor in this game, and he needs to do a lot to prove otherwise. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be the starting running back and touch the ball the most out of the Chiefs' backfield today. That's why I like him to score a touchdown. That's why I like his receiving yards prop too. It's Bucks in the over or the Chiefs or a Chiefs blowout. Yeah, I actually don't hate that logic either. I think that there is again, I think of sports in terms of a range of outcomes when predicting sports, especially the NFL. In the range of outcomes in this game, there is a real shot that the Kansas City Chiefs blow out the Buccaneers. If Tom Brady turns the ball over more than once, for example, this game's not going to be close. If they can't get any sacks on Patrick Mahomes, this game's probably not going to be close. So yeah, I think that there's a chance that it's a complete blowout. And if it's not a blowout, it's going to be extremely high scoring because of the Chiefs offense. The one thing that I'm probably most confident in the game today is the Chiefs offense is going to put up points. It's going to put up points. Heads or tails, we have to know. I'm going with tails, but I'm certainly not betting on it. But again, it's the national betting holiday of the year, so I'm not going to judge anyone that bets on the coin toss. I understand. This is a holiday, so have your fun. Bet on the coin toss. Tails is what I would go with. What color Gatorade is going to be poured on the coach of the winning team? I think I put a TikTok video out about this earlier this week, and I believe orange is what I decided. I think it's going to be orange if the Chiefs win and red if the Buccaneers win, something like that. That's what they poured on their last wins. I have $12 on tails. LOL, love it. By the way, as we're on the national betting day of the year, this is a national betting holiday. I want to remind you about the number one rule of sports betting. Never bet what you can't lose. Never bet what you can't lose. That is the number one rule of sports betting. Otherwise, it's all fun. Who will have the most receiving yards? Probably Tyreek Hill. But I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin too. The reason I like Tyreek Hill's props is because he can beat his prop. Any given week, Tyreek Hill can beat his prop in 1 or 2 plays. And so he's never out. He's never out. He could have 10 yards in the fourth quarter and he still ends with 120 yards. Guys, Tyreek Hill put up 200 yards in the first quarter. He was on track for 800 yards in the game after the first quarter. I mean, that first quarter of the last time the Buccaneers and Chiefs played was absolutely asinine. It was insane. You could not get near Tyreek Hill. And they're going to have a better answer for him in this game like they did in the last 3 quarters of that game. But it's going to open up things for Travis Kelce if they do, or it's going to open up things for Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Mecole Hardman or Sammy Watkins if they do. You can't stop all of them. Showdown tips. Yes, Justin. In single game slates like this showdown on FanDuel and DraftKings today, if you're playing DFS, you have to take risks. You're up against thousands of people picking from a very small pool of players, the same pool of players you're picking from. So build a core lineup of, I would recommend Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes are my 4 favorite locks in DFS today. And then you got to pick which lower priced guys you think are going to do well and take a chance on them. I like Gronk. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Mecole Hardman has a chance at a kickoff return touchdown today. So I don't mind him at a super low price too. Sammy Watkins is interesting. But you're going to have to take a stab at some of these lower priced guys. Make sure your lineup tells a story of the game. My story in my lineup is that the Kansas City Chiefs completely blow out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire scores multiple touchdowns. And in my captain slot, Clyde Edwards-Helaire leads me to thousands of dollars on DraftKings and FanDuel. So that's my sneaky captain for the day is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I recommend Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. One of them is probably going to end up scoring the most fantasy points today. But if you're not going with one of them, I would go with Clyde. Yes, there's a free prop pick, Griffin, in the WalterPicks app. We've also been talking a lot of free props this whole stream. Hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube, guys. And we got NBA props in the WalterPicks app now, too. We went 2 for 2 last night. CEH the promised land, Justin. I like it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score touchdowns, a prop I like a lot today. Plus 150 in a lot of places or better. I think on MGM Sportsbook, it was plus 200. He's probably going to lead that backfield in touches, a backfield on a team that's probably going to score at least 4 touchdowns today. For fantasy football, when is the best time to buy a premium subscription to WalterPicks? Jordan, right now. Right now is the best time. There's whispers of a price increase, Jordan. So I would say right now is the best time to be subscribing to the WalterPicks app. We had over 65% accuracy on prop picks this entire NFL season. And if you subscribe now, it's a 1-year subscription. So you're getting 365 days. You're basically getting all the way up until next year's Super Bowl. Unlocked of the WalterPicks app, NBA prop picks, NBA DFS optimizer, NFL draft fantasy football help, in-season fantasy football domination with our trade analyzer and our start sit tool. And you're also going to dominate NFL props all season long. Who do you think will get the MVP? Probably Mahomes. I think the Chiefs are going to win. And I think Patrick Mahomes is the single best player in the NFL. I would not be betting against him in this game or ever. This is the first time I've ever bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. First time ever that I will be betting and picking against Tom Brady in the playoffs. And I don't think I'll ever pick against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. I can't envision the scenario where I'm picking against the best player in the NFL at the single most important position in the NFL, playing really at a level we've never seen before. Over a 3-year stretch, he's lost 9 games. He's lost 1 playoff game in 3 years. Even when he's down, you just know he can score so fast that the Chiefs are never out of any game. Go back and watch their close games this season. Were they really close? Were you really ever in doubt that they were going to lose the game? And the Chiefs are just, their offense is why I believe in the Chiefs today. What's up, Sam? Player props of the week. Will Soley, good to see you here, my man. You're an OG subscriber of the WalterPicks app, an OG follower of our TikTok and YouTube account. I appreciate everyone who's following us along on this journey. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube right now. We're trying to inch towards 3,000 YouTube subscribers, a channel we started really with only a month left in the NFL season. Hoping to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of next NFL season. That's the goal we've set. And yeah, Will Soley, there's a lot of props I like today. Let me run through them very quickly. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. We have that projected at about a 45% chance of happening, which makes any odds at plus 150 or better amazing. I don't recommend betting. If you're trying to win money, I don't recommend betting on the first touchdown score of a game. It's a losing bet. But it's also the national betting holiday of the year, so I'm happy to bet on it today. And I'm taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score the first touchdown. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I also like a lot at their lines. I also like Rob Gronkowski. I also like Clyde Edwards-Helaire receiving yards prop. How many NBA props do you have a night on WalterPicks? Ronnie, it differs. It really depends how many lines our algorithm identifies as exploitable. Using artificial intelligence, some nights it could be, realistically, some nights it could be as high as 10. We've never had a night like that yet. I think the most we've had in a night so far this season is 6. Today we have 1. It's usually between 1 and 4 a night, is what I would say. But again, it's not a predetermined number. We look at all of the lines of the prop. Our algorithm looks at every single prop line. It projects every single stat for every single player. It compares them. It then does a confidence interval on how confident are we that this prop will hit. And if it's over 65% confidence, then it triggers, it identifies that player as the exploitable prop pick. And so that could be as many as 6, could be as many as 10, really, if there's 10 games or 8 games. But most of the time it's between 1 and 4 props. Crazy that the line hasn't moved at all. No, yeah, it is pretty crazy, actually. And I actually remember I listened to a podcast right when this prop line, right when the spread was released at 3.5, because my first reaction to this spread, it was at 3.5. I think at a lot of places now it's at 3. But my first reaction to the spread was, really? Only 3.5 points? The Chiefs are much better than the Green Bay Packers, guys. And the Green Bay Packers were 3.5-point favorites over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I feel like just that logic alone, the Chiefs should be at least 5-point favorites in this game. And so the spread surprised me, to be honest. And I do like the Chiefs. If we're taking this talking spread or money line, I would lean towards the Chiefs. Thoughts on Scotty Miller? Not a big fan of him today. I like him. Won't be surprised if he makes a play. But with Antonio Brown playing, it's going to limit the snaps for Scotty Miller. And with Sammy Watkins playing, it's going to limit the snaps for McCole Hardman. So both of those guys do have an impact in this game. And again, if you're just joining, I'm taking the Chiefs today. Do you like Brady over 0.5 INTs? Well, he did throw 2 last time we played the Chiefs. He just threw 3 against the Packers. I think it's a pretty fair line, though, Michael. I think there's about a 50-50 chance he throws one. I don't know what the odds are. But if he throws 1 or more interceptions, good luck in this game, Tom Brady. You can't make any mistakes. And I won't be surprised if he doesn't throw an interception. So I don't have any confident take on that line. Do you think Mahomes and Kelsey can do the underhand flip pass at the goal line today? They are the best team in the end. Like first of all, I feel like they invented that play. Like I feel like that was the original team that ran the play. It's like that weird flip pass to the tight end on the goal line. The Chiefs invented that play, and a lot of NFL teams have used it since. And a lot of NFL teams have had no success with it recently. Yet the Chiefs continue to just run this play and dominate with Travis Kelce at the goal line. And yeah, won't be shocked if they use it again. Can Charlton make an impact? Yeah, I do think he can. Why doesn't Walter ever pick unders? Good question. The reason is, first of all, life's too short to bet on unders. Second of all, he was specifically designed to identify overs. So we would need to redesign and build another version of Walter to identify unders. And it's something that we're working on. But again, I also philosophically believe that life is too short to bet on unders. It's much more fun betting on overs. So that's why. Parlay Chiefs +3 and over 50 opinions. Don't hate it, Griffin. I don't hate it. But here's the thing. I think there's the chance, again, I think that if we're thinking about this in a range of outcomes, from a range of outcomes perspective, there's a chance that the Kansas City Chiefs destroy the Buccaneers. And if that happens, I'm not going to love the over. But if it's a close game, and the Buccaneers can keep up with them, yeah, the over is going to hit. Life is too short to bet at the under. Yeah, I love that quote too. Why would a nationally televised game be under? And if the NFL is rigged, they're going to make it over. Yeah, a lot of people do think the NFL is behind the over-under riggedness. I mean, the over-under, guys, if we look back at like the over-under set over the last like 3 years, like 50% of them have gone over and 50% of them have gone under. Their ability to make these over-under lines is truly remarkable. It's truly remarkable. The over-unders are nearly impossible to beat. I don't think it's impossible, but nearly impossible. They are tough to beat. You think the Texans trade Deshaun Watson? I think they should, because he's not coming back. But I'm not sure they will, because I'd have no faith in that organization to make the right decisions. They have a long streak of making wrong decisions. So I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt of trading Deshaun Watson like they should right now when they can get a lot for him. What are the locks for today? Here's my favorite props. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. You're getting pretty good odds on that one. He's going to lead that backfield in touches. And he's going to be on the team projected to score at least 4 touchdowns today. Don't be surprised if they score more. I also like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin's props. Yeah, I don't think the NFL is rigged. I agree with that, Mike. Sell Aaron Jones in Dynasty. Let's see where he lands. But I probably would, Jordan, because the hype around him, I would wait till Aaron Jones signs, then sell him, because the hype around when players first sign, especially in Dynasty, is probably one of the best sell windows you're ever going to get. What's Walter % correct on locks? Michael, I think we were wrong on 2 locks this NFL season. Over 75% accurate on locks, which is, by the way, how they're designed. The lock only appears in the WalterPicks app when Walter's over 75% confident in that lock, using confidence intervals. Analyzing our projections versus every single prop line. That is what a lock is, over 75% confidence on the confidence interval. None of the 3 props today were identified as locks, but I do like them. And they are over 65% in Walter's algorithm. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score. I like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans over receiving yards. If there was one thing I was most confident in today, it's Chris Godwin. Over 73.5 receiving yards. Guys, Chris Godwin has 5 straight games with at least 7 targets. 5 straight games. He is Tom Brady's favorite target right now. He's averaging 88 receiving yards per game in that span. His last 5 games, 88 yards per game. His over-under is only 73.5. He's gone for 75-plus yards in 4 of his last 5 games. We identified his prop in 3 of those. Walter's 5 for 5 identifying Chris Godwin props this season. And he's on him today again. 88 receiving yards per game in his last 5 games. Listen, I'm honestly surprised this line hasn't moved more. Walter has Godwin projected for 86 yards today. Again, that's slightly under his average over the last 5 games. And the Chiefs secondary is good. But I still don't think that they're going to be able to match up with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown. And if Antonio Brown is truly healthy, he's going to have a big impact on this game. And I like him to score a touchdown. My 2 bets to score the first touchdown are Antonio Brown and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 2 players I think are going overlooked in terms of how they could be used in this game. How bad is Mahomes' toe? I heard he needs offseason surgery on it. Yeah, I think it's impacting Patrick Mahomes, but he's still, even with the injured toe, he's still the best player in the NFL. And we saw it last week. Guys, the Chiefs defense, by the way, looked good last week against the Buffalo Bills. I want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs defense because there's been a lot of talk about Tom Brady, probably honestly too much. There's been a lot of talk about Patrick Mahomes, probably the right amount, to be honest. And I don't think there's been nearly enough talk about this Chiefs defense. Chiefs defense, 10th in points per game allowed. 10th best defense, 5th best defense in completion percentage. They allowed the 5th lowest completion percentage in the NFL. 5th lowest completion percentage in the NFL. The Chiefs secondary was good. Tyrann Mathieu is a top 5 safety in the NFL. He's legit. There are legit pieces on this Chiefs defense. They had the 2nd fewest yards allowed to receivers this season. And again, I don't think it's possible to match up with Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. And Chris Godwin did did go over 80 yards last time against the Chiefs. But again, the Chiefs secondary was no joke. Second fewest yards allowed to receivers this year. Fifth most yards allowed to tight ends this season, though. That bodes well for Rob Gronkowski. I like Gronk's prop. It's like 33 yards. Are you really going to be surprised when Tom Brady's hooking up with Rob Gronkowski in the Super Bowl? This is the game that Rob Gronkowski waits for all year. And this is where he's unleashed. So I do like Gronk over 33 receiving yards. Again, he's up against the Chiefs defense that's allowed the fifth most receiving yards to tight ends this season. The Chiefs defense has the fourth highest blitz rate in the NFL. And if they are able to blitz Tom Brady effectively in this game, again, I don't think this game is going to be close if they are able to do that. The Chiefs defense, fourth highest blitz rate in the NFL. Tom Brady, 20th in the NFL against the blitz this season. So we have two defenses that are top 5 in blitz rate, two defenses that like to blitz a lot. But the two quarterbacks react to the blitz much different. Patrick Mahomes against the blitz, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, number 1 in the NFL quarterback rating against the blitz. Tom Brady, meanwhile, has thrown multiple interceptions against blitzes. He ranks 20th in the NFL against the blitz this season. So if Tom Brady is getting blitzed and effectively blitzed in this game, I don't think it's going to be very close. The Chiefs' defense biggest weakness of the Chiefs' defense is their running defense. It's the best place to have a weakness because running doesn't matter nearly as much as passing in the NFL. It's why we have the two best passing offenses in the NFL in this game, number 1 and number 2 in passing yards per game. Chiefs were number 1, Bucs were number 2. Both top 5 in deep attempts per game. This is not a coincidence. But the weakness of the Chiefs defense is against the run, while it's a strength for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think it matters that much because passing is what is going to win this game. So I like the Chiefs defense as an X factor in this game. Guys, they just did really well. They just locked down Josh Allen, who threw for under 300 yards. Josh Allen was in the MVP conversation. Josh Allen was much better than Tom Brady this year. Even if you're just looking at the back half of the season, which I think is what you should be doing for the Bucs, by the way. I've been saying this all playoffs. Stop doing this season-long analysis on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You really should just be throwing out the first half of the season numbers because they were two completely different teams. Again, I went back and watched every single Buccaneers game this past 2 weeks. There's the Buccaneers of the first half of the season, and then there's the Buccaneers really when they signed Antonio Brown. We should start there. It's a whole different offense, top 5 offense in the NFL from that time. But Josh Allen was still better. The Bills' offense was still better than the Buccaneers' offense in the back half of the season. The Bills' offense, guys, was legit this year. They were extremely efficient throwing the ball. Josh Allen was the second best quarterback in the NFL or third best. It was Mahomes, it was Rodgers, and then it was Josh Allen. And Josh Allen was just locked down by this Chiefs defense. Josh Allen was better and is better than Tom Brady right now. So that is a good sign for this Chiefs defense. I mean, if the secondary can step up and it can match up against Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, which again is going to be tough, this game's not going to be close. And if they don't, this game is still definitely within reach for the Chiefs. And we got someone in the YouTube comments, never bet against Tom Brady. That's all I'm going to say. And there's a lot of people using that same line, never bet against Tom Brady. And guess what? I had never bet against Tom Brady. I understand the argument. I've actually said that line myself throughout my lifetime. Never betting against Tom Brady has been a profitable strategy in our lifetimes, in the last 20 years. Don't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs, I understand. But he's also 43 years old. And he's not the best quarterback in this game. He's the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's not the best quarterback in this game. Put me in the camp of people that believes that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's also losing this game. I don't know how many people there are that are there with me. I feel like a lot of people are in one camp or the other. Tom Brady's either the greatest of all time and winning this game, or you're somehow have tricked yourself into believing he's not the greatest of all time when he very clearly is, and he's going to lose the game. I think he's the greatest of all time, and he's going to lose the game because Patrick Mahomes is better than him right now. Tom Brady is 43 years old. He's not in his prime. I don't think you can argue against this. He's not in his prime, very clearly not in his prime. He had a pretty good season. He threw 40 touchdowns. top 5 in the NFL in passing yards per game. Number 2 in the NFL in passing yards per game. And I agree. Yeah, he's a great leader. He shows up when it matters. What about Patrick Mahomes? Has he ever not shown up when it mattered? His one loss, he scored 40 points in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has lost one game in his career in the playoffs. And he still scored 40 points in that game. And yeah, it was against Tom Brady. So if you think Tom Brady's going to win, do you think he's going to score 43 points today against the Chiefs defense that just locked down Josh Allen? Do you think the Bucs defense is going to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes, who was stopped by virtually nobody this entire season, who's number 1 under pressure? So even if the offensive line struggles, as long as he's not getting sacked, he's probably going to do very well. Greg, thanks for being a WalterPicks subscriber. Greg, I appreciate you. And yes, Greg, we have only one NBA prop today. And I like it a lot, by the way. I do like it a lot. And I parlayed that prop with a lot of the NFL props today over on the PrizePicks app. No Jaylen Brown, no Marcus Smart for the Celtics today. As a Kansas City native, I'm pumped. Good for you. You should be pumped. And I think that you're going to be even more pumped as the game goes along, because I think the Kansas City Chiefs are winning this game. And I understand, never bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs, but you also have to understand, let's look at this rationally. Let's look at this from a mathematical perspective. If we're looking at the numbers, Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady this season. Andy Reid is a better play caller. Andy Reid is a better coach than what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. And by the way, Todd Bowles, not the head coach, but the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, props to him. I think he's one of the biggest reasons the Buccaneers are where they are. Their defense has been great. He has a very, very big challenge ahead of him today. My book has a prop bet where if Bam Adebayo points plus rebounds versus Gronk receiving yards, LMAO. That is absolutely hilarious, Philip. Some of the things you can bet on today are hysterical. There are some absolutely ridiculous props available for you to bet on today. It is the national betting holiday of the year. There is more money wagered today than any other day in the year. And I honestly don't think it's close. I don't know the numbers exactly. But man, sportsbooks are going to be making a lot today, as are we, because we're hammering Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Rob Gronkowski. And we like the Chiefs to win the game too. Prime Dez Bryant is better than Julio Jones. No, I don't think so. I mean, Prime Julio Jones is better than most other players ever in the NFL. Prime Julio Jones was an absolute animal. And I also don't think he's that far off his prime still, by the way. Receivers haven't aged very well in the NFL recently. Like in the last 5 years, we've seen Alshon Jeffrey tamper off. We've seen a lot of age cliffs happening at running back position too. God, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is essentially useless now in the NFL. He was literally the best running back in the NFL 3 years ago. Darrell Williams, 28.5. I don't like Darrell Williams. I don't like him at all in this game. Darrell Williams was only on the field for running plays in their last game. They're up against the number 1 run defense in the NFL. Number 1 run defense in the NFL. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the one getting the receiving work, while Darrell Williams is the one getting the running work. AB or CH. I like both, but I like Clyde more. I absolutely like Clyde Edwards-Helaire more. And guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit that YouTube button in our TikTok bio. Head over to the YouTube stream. Hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 3,000 YouTube subscribers. I'd love to get there. I would appreciate it. Shout out to all my new YouTube subscribers today. New to WalterPicks, what is it? Let me give you the one line of what WalterPicks is. Walter is an artificially intelligent algorithm. We use him to dominate sports betting and to dominate fantasy sports. That's what it is. And we've had over 65% accuracy identifying exploitable prop picks in the NFL on over 200 picks. We've had over 65% accuracy, or maybe 64% accuracy identifying exploitable prop picks for the NBA on over 70 picks just this season. And we got one today too. We also are going to help you dominate your fantasy football league. If you play DFS on DraftKings or FanDuel, yeah, you're going to want to be using our app. We have a lineup optimizer that's leveraging our artificially intelligent projections better than anywhere else on the planet. More accurate than ESPN and Yahoo. And we are dominating NBA and NFL DFS with that too. It's about $5 a month. Includes a 3-day free trial as well. There's whispers that the price could be increasing soon as we add more sports betting tools. So I want to give you that information as well. But you can start your 3-day free trial completely free. You won't be charged for 3 days. I think every subscription service should offer a free trial. I'm a big believer in this because you should know what you're paying for before you pay. So yes, 3-day free trial in the WalterPicks app on the iOS App Store. Try it out today. Really do appreciate everyone trying it out. And if you want to support me, the single best thing you can do to support me is becoming a subscriber in the WalterPicks app. You think Clyde and Williams could rush for 80 plus? They could. It'd be pretty surprising. I don't love Darrell Williams rushing today. But I think there's a possibility that the Chiefs completely blow out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if that happens, Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably scored a touchdown. He probably went over 33 rushing yards, and he probably went over 15 receiving yards. Adam Schefter just tweeted out that the Lions asked for Aaron Donald from Matthew Stafford. That's an absolute joke. Aaron Donald is way, way better than Matthew Stafford is, even though the position is less important. Did you see the national anthem rehearsal video? Yes, I did see that. Absolutely ridiculous. I've been subscribed for 3 months now. It literally pays for itself with the player props. Listen to that. Look at that ad right there. Thank you in the comments. I appreciate you subscribing. And yeah, the expectation is you're going to make more than you subscribed for. That's the whole idea. Did you see my message about Matthew Stafford? Yes, I did. Bro, I'm stuck. What do you like better? Kelsey over 8.5 receptions or Tyreek Hill over 7.5? I like Kelsey's more. Jeff says Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl next season? Probably not. Who is better, Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones? Who is better is different. My answer to this one's different than who is going to touch the ball more and who's going to do better today. I think Ronald Jones is better than Leonard Fournette. But I think Leonard Fournette's going to do better than him today because I think he's going to touch the ball more. And volume is what drives production in the NFL. Would you take the NBA prop over 24.5? Yep, Greg, I would. And I honestly, it's a good sign that it's moving. But yeah, I would. And I think it's available for 23.5 in the PrizePicks app. So if you haven't downloaded that through the WalterPicks app, on the Place Props Here button, would you rather have Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson for the next 10 years? If you're making me answer that question now, I'd go Deshaun Watson because we know Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It is known. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's 25. So yeah, I'll take Deshaun Watson any day of the week. I'll take a known top 5 quarterback in the NFL for pretty much any price too. I'd basically be willing to pay anything for Deshaun Watson. But I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be very good. And my answer to that question might be different at the end of next NFL season when we have a year of Trevor Lawrence in the NFL. I stacked Kyler Murray and D-Hop, but my best friend stacked Dak and Amari Cooper. Yeah, that's a good one. Travis Kelce, longest reception versus Donovan Mitchell points. I would lean towards Donovan Mitchell points. I think Donovan Mitchell could go for 30 today. Do you hear the salary cap got lowered $18 million? Yeah, I did see that. That's definitely going to have implications. And I believe the NFL Players Union brought this on themselves in their negotiations. Do you like Gronk first TD? No, Michael, I don't love it. My first TD bets are Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Antonio Brown. But I also kind of like Leonard Fournette too. I threw my life on National Anthem over 2 minutes. Yeah, if you could get that in, then you should have. We all just saw a recording. It was like 2 minutes and 19 seconds. And I think I actually posted a video 2 weeks ago about some of the crazy props you can bet on and what I liked. And one of them was the National Anthem over. Because there's 2 people performing together. And historically, when 2 people perform together, it takes longer. And then we see someone on social media post a recording of the rehearsal of the National Anthem. It went for about 2 minutes and 19 seconds. And then all the sports books essentially took that bet off the table. So if you can still get it, yeah, over 2 minutes is a lock for the National Anthem. I'm doing fantastic today, Chris. I'm pumped about the Super Bowl. I'm always sad, though, because this is the end of the NFL season, and we got to wait a long time for another NFL game. It's going to be a while till the next meaningful NFL game. So that is a little sad, but I'm still excited about the Super Bowl. Yeah, Greg, Walter's NBA props started hot. We were over 70% accuracy in like our first 40 picks, and we did go through a little bit of a cold streak earlier this week. I think we had 3 straight nights maybe at 50% or below. But he's definitely back. 2 for 2 last night with the NBA props. Another good NBA prop today. 3 solid NFL props in the WalterPicks app today. Go Tom Brady. You think the Bills can win the Super Bowl next year? Yeah, I think they can. I don't think they will because Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. And the team is together for a while, guys. This Chiefs team is legit. And it's time you start realizing we have a new dynasty forming that could rival the Patriots dynasty. If they can stay together for another 3, 4, 5 years, the Chiefs could win 2, 3, or 4 more Super Bowls. They have the biggest advantage in the NFL with Patrick Mahomes. There's no quarterback that's playing on his level. He's number 1 against the blitz. He's number 1 when not blitzed. He's number 1 outside the pocket. He's number 1 throwing accurately down the field. He has Tyreek Hill, the fastest human on the face of the earth. Travis Kelce, the best tight end season arguably of all time. If you still can't admit TB12 is the greatest after what he did without Belichick, then you are blind. B Money, I agree. But I honestly don't think it should have taken this season for anyone to admit that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And again, I'm in the camp of people today, and I don't know how big of a camp of people this is. I'm in the camp of people that believes that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, but also he's losing this game. And yeah, he is clearly the greatest of all time. He clearly is. There's really no debating. Guys, this is his 10th Super Bowl. This conversation ended after the Falcons Super Bowl. Ended. Conversation over. Tom Brady, greatest of all time. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I do think he has a chance to catch him. But he's a long ways away. Like, Mahomes is going to have to sustain what he's doing now, which is right now what Mahomes is doing is better. Mahomes has essentially shattered every single record that he could possibly shatter up to this point in his career. He was the fastest player ever to 10,000 passing yards, fastest player ever to 100 passing touchdowns. He said the best quarterback rating ever in his first 3 seasons. If you limit the number of passing attempts we're looking at, best TD interception ratio basically we've ever seen in someone's start to an NFL career. Like what Patrick Mahomes is doing right now, if he can sustain that for another 10, 15 years, yeah, he has a chance. What team will commit the first accepted penalty? Probably the Bucs. Prime Gronk over prime Kelce, someone says. Listen, I think Kelce just had the best tight end season of all time, but I honestly don't think I'd disagree. But part of the reason I would take prime Gronk over prime Kelce is when Rob Gronkowski was in his prime, he was also the best blocking tight end in the NFL. He arguably was like a top 10 offensive lineman. Like Rob Gronkowski's run blocking in his peak was absolutely bananas. We basically the Patriots basically had an extra offensive lineman and a talented receiver for every play. It was an insane advantage. And Kelce's a good run blocker too, but he's not as good as what Rob Gronkowski was. You think Sammy Watkins or Hardman? I like Sammy Watkins more than Hardman in this game. But by the way, watch out for McCole Hardman on the kickoffs, guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers allowed the most yards per kickoff this season, and I think McCole Hardman could torch them on one of those. But I think Sammy Watkins is going to get more targets and more touches than McCole Hardman in this game. Gronk was dragging linebackers. Yeah, he was. Jake says, I'm looking forward to fantasy lists this year. When I use my free trial this year, you were always right. Just cop the subscription. Jake, I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to fantasy as well. And again, there's the single biggest thing you could do to support me. Go subscribe in the WalterPicks app. As I try to work my way to doing this full time and working on the WalterPicks app full time, the subscriptions are the thing that will get us there. I'm looking forward to next season too, Jake. But I'm also looking forward to the game tonight because we're going to have a fantastic, fantastic game. Jeff says, bro, you helped me win my fantasy football championship. Jeff, that's what I'm talking about. And we're going to go back-to-back next season, Jeff. That's the goal. CEH is the only going to help Patrick's career. He now has a legit running back. Yeah, I agree. I don't think people quite realize how good Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still. And he had a pretty disappointing season from a fantasy football perspective, because you picked him in the first or second round and he did not provide first or second round value. I still think he's a very good player. He's a good receiver. He's good in pass protection. And I think he's a pretty talented runner as well. And he's definitely been dealing with injuries this season. I like his props today too. I think he's going to score a touchdown. I think he's going to touch the ball much more than he did in the last game. And if the Chiefs end up blowing out the Bucs, he could be the biggest benefactor. So I like him to score the first touchdown. I like him to score a touchdown in the game. I guarantee Brady has been coaching the defense these past 2 weeks. Brady, I don't know if you saw this storyline, but Brady basically was left alone by his family for at least a week. They said, all right, you just study for a week. Tom Brady's been all alone studying for this game. Doing anything for the game tonight? I'm not doing anything special. It's obviously it's a strange year in the Super Bowl. It's a strange year in the NFL. It's a strange year just in life. And so I will be watching the Super Bowl alone with my girlfriend, and that is it. I'm very excited to watch, though. Schefter said that usually, obviously we do something a little bit more. Schefter said the Lions initially asked for Donald for Stafford. LOL. Yeah, it's an absolute joke. And I'm not surprised that the Rams turned that down. Aaron Donald's probably top 5 talented player in the NFL. If we're just looking across positions, if you're ranking top 5 players based on their talent in their position group, Aaron Donald's in the top 5. But Cole Hardman, anytime TD, don't hate it. I think he could score a return today. Imagine the Cowboys offense if they draft Pitts. Yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys offense could be interesting. But I think that Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think that the Cowboys royally screwed up by not paying him and by paying Zeke instead. Yeah, Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in the NFL. And I think that the Rams are doing the right thing by trying to capitalize on what they have on the defensive side of the ball right now. I think Stafford could be what gets them over the edge to win a Super Bowl. Guys, let's talk a little bit more about this Buccaneers defense, though. Because if the Buccaneers defense is one of the chances that the Buccaneers have to stick in this game. They're top 10 in yards per game allowed. They're top 10 in plays. They're top 10 in allowing plays of 20-plus yards, which, by the way, the Chiefs are number 1 in plays of 20-plus yards. The Bucs are top 10 in stopping those. They're also top 10 against play action, which the Chiefs run at a higher rate than almost any team in the NFL. If we're talking Super Bowl player props, I like Mike Evans. I like Chris Godwin. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Bucs defense is the number 1 rush defense. But are they really going to be able to prevent Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce from doing something while also stopping Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I don't think so. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, the 5th highest blitz rate in the NFL. We have 2 teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5th highest blitz rate in the NFL. Chiefs, 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL. Mahomes is number 1 against the blitz, though. 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the blitz. Mahomes is the best player in the NFL, everyone. And Tom Brady against the blitz, 20th. We'll be getting a mock draft from you, bro. Jeff, you know it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, though, the strength of the defense is not the secondary. It is the defensive line in the linebacker group. You can't name a better 6 players on the defensive side of the ball from any team than these 6 players. You can't do it. Levante David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, and Vita Vea. All 6 of those guys could have been all pros. All 6 of them are very good. There's not a better 6 defenders on any team in the NFL. So yeah, that's been one of the strengths. And Todd Bowles has done a great job with this defense. Jack says, good job with the props last night. Yep, Doncic and Brandon Ingram were straight cash last night. 2 for 2 for Walter. He's over 64% accuracy on the NBA props after going over 65% accuracy on NFL props this season. Chiefs O-line in trouble. Yes, that is a part of the storyline in this game. The Chiefs offensive line will be without Eric Fisher, who tore his Achilles against the Bills just 2 weeks ago. I feel for him. This is the worst time for an injury. I know, Noah. Final game of the season is always sad. But Mike Reimers is a solid fill-in, guys, for Eric Fisher. I don't think Mike Reimers is going to do that bad in this game. If you're worried about the Chiefs' offensive line, I think it's a valid concern, but I would be more focused on Andrew Wiley, who's been the worst part of the offensive line this season. He's going to be worse than the fill-in for Eric Fisher. Andrew Wiley was playing either way, with Eric Fisher or without Eric Fisher, and he's going to be up against Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. So good luck. Will you ever do a podcast? Emmett, I did have a podcast at one point in my life, and we might be having one again, but it's something to think about. Only one NBA pick tonight, right? Yes, Spencer, one NBA pick. Boss, do you think the Chiefs money line or the spread? I'd go money line. First touchdown, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Godwin over 73 yards block. I like it, Adam. Walter agrees with you. Our artificially intelligent algorithm agrees that Chris Godwin over 73 yards is a good bet. He's averaging 88 receiving yards per game over his last 5 games. He's gone over 75 receiving yards in 4 of his last 5. He has, I think, 5 straight games with at least 7 targets. I mean, Chris Godwin prop is set too low. It should be at least 83, and it's at 73. So my favorite bet today is probably that bet. Chris Godwin over 73 receiving yards. But there's a lot of bets I like. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. That odds on that, you're getting plus 150 or better. Our algorithm has him at about 45% chance to score a touchdown. I also like Mike Evans prop. 10 yards less than Chris Godwin's. Mike Evans went over 90 yards against this team the last time they played. He's done very well in every game. He's at least 5 targets. Do you think Kelsey or Tyreek Hill will go over their receiving yards? Listen, I think that they set those lines pretty accurately. Both of them should be around 100 yards today. And I bet Tyreek Hill hits it. And I won't be surprised if Kelsey hits it either. I'd say I'm more confident in Tyreek Hill, though, just because of Tyreek Hill's ability to break big plays. Did you watch that Bills game? Tyreek Hill took a 12-yard pass and turned it into a 70-yard pass. No other player in the NFL would have made that play. He's literally a freak. Antonio Brown deserves a ring, says Jeff. I don't know if he deserves a ring, but he definitely could have a big impact on this game. Kevin Durant out for another 7-day period. Yeah, the Durant thing has been definitely frustrating. Kelsey to score. Yeah, he's probably going to score. I think there's been maybe 1 or 2 games this year where either Kelsey or Hill didn't score. Like, it's very unlikely one of them. It's very unlikely that both of them are prevented from scoring in a game. Scotty or Hill, who's faster? It's Hill. It is Hill. Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest humans on the face of the earth. Let's talk a little bit about that Chiefs offense, guys. They're number 1 against the blitz. They have the most. These next few points. This is why I'd like the Chiefs to win today, and it's why I don't think you can trust anyone that's saying that the Bucs are a lock. Don't get me wrong. By the way, the Bucs have a chance. The Bucs have a chance. I think if their defensive line can get some sacks. I think if Antonio Brown looks healthy and is a big part of the game, the Bucs have a chance. But the reason I'm picking the Chiefs is their offense, guys. Number 1 against the blitz, most yards per game. They scored over 30 points 10 times, the most in the NFL. Tyreek Hill has almost 300 yards in his last 2 games. They have the 5th fewest sacks allowed. They're without Eric Fisher, but again, I think their fill-in is actually pretty good. Did you not see? All we needed to see is Tyreek Hill's Shannon Sharpe. Help is on the way. The confidence they had in that game is the exact confidence they should go into this game with. The best offense in the NFL, and that is why they're going to win the game. And again, I think the Buccaneers' best chance is getting sacks with their star defensive line and getting Antonio Brown on the field as much as possible to create mismatches. You can't guard Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. What are the odds in the opening halftime song? There are insane amount of props that you can bet on today. This is a national betting holiday in the United States, really all over the world. And one of those things you can bet on is the national anthem and is the halftime show. Don't you think it's crazy how your algorithm influences Vegas betting lines? Yeah, Philip, I do think it's pretty crazy. And it's honestly a great sign for us that Vegas is taking note. The lines that we identify see line movement at a very high percentage. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I really don't think that's a coincidence. And I think it's a great sign. When we see line movement, it's a good sign that what we identified was pretty good. And there's a lot of props. I'm going to pull up these Super Bowl props. We'll talk through some of them. We got about an hour left on the stream, everyone. I'll be live right up until around 1:30. What do you think on the over on yards for Fournette? I like his receiving prop more than the rushing one. Even though the Chiefs' weakness on defense is rushing, Tom Brady checking down to his running back in the Super Bowl is a tale as old as time. So I do like Leonard Fournette's receiving prop. Do you take any long shot bets like plus 500 odds or greater? Only on the Super Bowl really is when I take these types of bets. And I take these types of bets on futures too. I had a $50 bet on the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl at better than plus 500 odds. It was 50 to win it. It was 50 to win 500. Plus 1,000 odds on that one in the beginning of the playoffs. What is your favorite Super Bowl food? Jake, finally someone asking the right questions. I'm very excited for the Super Bowl, partially because the game's going to be fantastic and partially because the food is going to be great. Buffalo wings is probably my favorite. But I also like buffalo chicken dip, the guac with the chips. I'm already getting hungry just thinking about it. Might drop 100 on Chiefs money line. I don't hate it. I honestly don't. And really, like, you shouldn't be getting this good of odds. And like, I actually think from a mathematical perspective, based on our projections of the game, like the money line is honestly a pretty good value on the Chiefs, and it's pretty surprising that that's the case in the Super Bowl. But so many people are telling themselves, never bet against Tom Brady, never bet against Tom Brady. And I think even a lot of these people missed out on the Tom Brady window because you really should have been never betting against Tom Brady for the last 20 years. That was a profitable strategy. But those people also aren't realizing the reality of the game today. The reality is the Buccaneers do not have the best quarterback in this game. I'm 100% going ranch over blue cheese, by the way, Jake. But the Buccaneers don't have the best quarterback in this game. I mean, it's honestly not a debate. Could you honestly say you would rather have Tom Brady than Patrick Mahomes in this game? 43-year-old Tom Brady, 25-year-old Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes leads the NFL in yards per game, leads the NFL in interception percentage, 600 passing attempts, 6 interceptions. 1% of his passes are picked off. Lowest rate in the NFL. Brady, meanwhile, he threw 3 picks last game. He was picked off twice by this Chiefs defense last time they played. So, yeah, I don't think it's that crazy of a take to be saying that the Chiefs are favorites in this game. And I think they should be favored by more than close to 5. I need to refer someone for prize picks for that 100K entry, LOL. Noah, send that link in the chat maybe. Someone can help you out. They do have a crazy promotion going. I agree people are acting like it's only Brady playing for the Bucs. Yeah, agreed. I mean, a big part of why the Bucs are here is Todd Bowles and that defense. Again, that defense was top 10 in basically every metric you look at. Top 10 in points per game allowed. They were top 10 in yards per game allowed. Top 10 in the fewest amount of 20-plus yard plays per game allowed. Top 10 against play action. They were the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. They blitzed, though, at the 5th highest rate, and that's not going to work against Mahomes, who's number 1 against the blitz. They also had the 2nd most QB hits. They have the best defensive line and group of linebackers in the NFL. Again, listen to this list of 6 players they have. All of them could have been all pros. Devin White, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea. All of those guys are top 20 in their position. Every single one of those guys. They have all of them on the same team. There's not a better 6 players on the defensive side of the ball than those 6 players. But does it really matter against Patrick Mahomes? That's the real question. Patrick Mahomes is number 1 against the blitz. Patrick Mahomes has the lowest interception percentage in the NFL. He also has 2 of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. Fournette or CH more rushing yards. I like Clyde. To have more rushing yards. Brady over 2.5 TDs. That won't surprise me at all. The Bucs receiving core is absolutely crazy. And by the way, I'm not saying the Bucs don't have a chance. I absolutely think they have a chance. And I think one of the reasons they have a chance is their receivers. And if Antonio Brown is healthy, the combination of Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin all on the field together is one of the best groups of wide receivers we've ever seen in the NFL when they are all fully healthy. Name me a better group of 3 receivers that we've ever seen in the NFL than those 3 guys. Mike Evans, who's had, 6 or 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Chris Godwin, who I think is the most talented receiver out of the 3 of them. And Antonio Brown, who's obviously not in his prime, but in his prime was arguably the best receiver we've ever seen. If Antonio Brown is healthy, good luck guarding all 3 of them. The spread for Fournette versus Williams rushing yards is Fournette minus 20.5. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the 20.5 yards you're getting with Clyde. But that's with Darrell Williams. Yeah, I don't think I would be betting any amount of money on Darrell Williams today against the number 1 rush defense in the NFL, who's only on the field during running plays. And again, I think Clyde's going to get more snaps and more touches than he did in the last game over Darrell Williams, who led the backfield in touches in their last game, but not in snaps. So I like Clyde over Darrell Williams. Don't bet anything on Darrell Williams today. Hey, Sam, over or under 56.5. That is a lot of points. But if the game is close, if you think the Buccaneers can keep this game close, this game is going over 60 points. Because the Chiefs aren't scoring less than 30. So if you think the game's going to be close, then yeah, you're going with the over. Who do you like for DFS picks today with Superstar? Yeah, listen. My favorite DFS pick today is probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire because I think there's a better chance than most people are realizing it and most people are projecting that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a multiple touchdown game. And by the way, I think he only had 1 of those this season. But I think it's a more likely thing to happen than what people are realizing. And that's why I like him in DFS. That's why I like all of his player props. And so I would lean towards Clyde. Can't wait for the next fantasy season. Me too. Did I miss the bet of the day? Just got back. No worries. And by the way, if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. If If you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you're going to subscribe to our YouTube. We're almost at 3,000 YouTube subscribers, everyone. The bet of the day for me is Chris Godwin. That's the thing I have the single most money risked on today is Chris Godwin. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire scores the first touchdown or Antonio Brown scores the first touchdown, I'm taking home $1,000. Is Brady greatest athlete ever if Bucs win? I think yes. I think yes, personally. Buccaneers defensive scheme will win them the Super Bowl. I think that is one of the ways they can win. Antonio Brown is going to be active. I'm fully expecting him to be active, and I honestly don't think that hurts Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. And I like Antonio Brown to score a touchdown today, by the way. I have a $50 bet on him to be the first touchdown scorer on the Bucs side. But I do still like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans props. I think that's only going to open up the field for both of them. Yeah, there's no way Antonio Brown doesn't play. There's no way Sammy Watkins doesn't play either. Need a superstar and 4 flex. Yeah, if you're going with a captain or a superstar in DFS today, you're playing that single game slate, you almost have to put Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes in the captain slot. Like if you're getting one player that's getting 1.5 times their points, then I would go with Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. But if you're trying to be sneaky and you're trying to be contrarian, which I think is actually a good strategy when you're in these huge tournaments with very limited pool of players, then I would go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. At the cheap side of things, I like Sammy Watkins and Rob Gronkowski too. Free prop pick. We have given away a lot of free prop picks on this stream. My favorite one is Chris Godwin, over 73 receiving yards. But I also like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. We're getting plus 150 odds or better. How long have you been live today? We have been live for a little over 2 hours. We have been live. Hit that like button if you're watching live on YouTube. I appreciate everybody that's watching live. Appreciate everybody that's followed along this season. And I appreciate everybody that's tried out the WalterPicks app too. If you haven't checked it out in the iOS App Store, you got to go check it out. We've been identifying exploitable player prop picks for the NFL and the NBA all year long using artificial intelligence. We've been absolutely dominating. We got 3 NFL props identified today. We got 1 NBA prop identified today. We've had over 64% accuracy on both sports. And we're going to help you dominate your fantasy football leagues next season and DFS. So appreciate everyone trying out the app. You get a 3-day free trial when you try it out too, so give it a try. First score of the game, Chiefs rush plus 600. Don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I think I like Clyde a little bit more than that bet, though. I think the odds for Clyde are like plus 1,000, and it doesn't rule out a Clyde Edwards-Helaire receiving touchdown. And he's a good receiver who could very easily be lost in coverage when you're focused on Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I'm going to have the chills when Brady and Mahomes meet at the middle of the field for the coin toss. Me too. It's going to be a fantastic game between two fantastic quarterbacks. It could be the greatest quarterback of all time versus the future greatest of all time. I think Mahomes has that within his range of outcomes in terms of his career. And I think Mahomes is very clearly better than Tom Brady right now. And I don't know why I've had to fight people on these past 2 weeks. I don't really think there's an argument against it. Yes, Tom Brady is good when it matters most. Yes, Tom Brady historically in the playoffs is not someone you should bet against. But there's no conversation to be had that Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady right now. Right now, he is. Yeah, and I agree that this game will mean a lot in the GOAT debate 15 years from now. But in my opinion, the GOAT debate has been over for a while. I think since the Falcons game. Hemi G in the comments on YouTube. This is not an ad, he says. WalterPicks app is more than worth the $5 a month. I won my fantasy league because of it and was over 200 units profit from his NFL props all year and so far up 60 plus units in the NBA. I mean, it's not an ad. I'm a real human. I appreciate that, Hemi. Thank you for sharing your story. And hopefully we featured you on the winner's wall in the app. But certainly what you just explained is a lot more valuable than $5 a month. Highlight Central, I appreciate you, my man. Again, I think one of the most interesting storylines of this game is the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line injuries. But I have a different take on it than I think most people, at least if you listen to NFL Network, which you probably shouldn't be doing, believe. And a lot of people are saying the Chiefs offensive line is one of the ways that they could lose this game. And I actually agree, but it's not because Eric Fisher is out, because Eric Fisher's backup's not that much worse than Eric Fisher. And again, I feel for Eric Fisher, torn Achilles the game before the Super Bowl. Brutal. I feel for him, and I hope he's able to come back. But Mike Reimers is a solid fill-in for him. But guard Andrew Wiley is the worst offensive lineman they have. And he was playing either way. And that, to me, Andrew Wiley could end up being the reason the Bucs have a chance to win. Because if Andrew Wiley gets plowed over by Ndamukong Suh or Vita Vea in this game, two great defensive linemen, and they're able to sack Patrick Mahomes before he's able to throw the ball. By the way, Mahomes, again, number one in the NFL when pressured, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against the blitz. Best player in the NFL. But I do think that is one of the weaknesses of the Chiefs is their guard, Andrew Wiley. The free player prop pick is going to be Mike Evans, LOL. Noah, we've given away a lot of free picks. One of them does include Mike Evans, who's going to go over 63.5 receiving yards today. That line is simply too low. So is Chris Godwin's line at 73.5. I like both of them a lot. I also like Gronk's line. Don't be surprised when Tom Brady, when it matters most, is looking for his most reliable target. And that is Chris Godwin, and that is Rob Gronkowski. Chris Godwin, by the way, it's Brady's favorite receiver. Tom Brady's favorite receiver on this team is Chris Godwin. He likes Antonio Brown and Mike Evans a lot too. But Chris Godwin's the one who's been leading this team in the playoffs. Tyreek Hill over or under yards. I would never bet on any of his unders because he could take a single slant yard pass, 10 yards to the house on any play. We just saw it with the Bills last week, 2 weeks ago. He takes a 10-yard catch, he turns it into 70 yards because he's one of the fastest humans on the face of the earth. Have you watched Gronk play? He doesn't have anything left. Yeah, I agree that Gronk is definitely not the Gronk we once knew. And I don't think Gronk's going to go over 50 receiving yards. I wouldn't project that. And Walter, by the way, has Gronk projected for 33 receiving yards, exactly where his line is today. But personally, I won't be that surprised if Gronk does well, or if he scores a touchdown, or if he clears 33 yards, which really is not very many. He could clear 33 yards with just 2 catches. Kelsey TD, Hill TD, Godwin yards for parlay insurance. I don't hate it, Spencer. I don't hate it. I do like the Godwin yards. Probably that's my favorite prop of the day is Chris Godwin's yards. I also really like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown today at plus 150 or better. I mean, that's good odds for the running back on the offense that's expected to score at least 4 touchdowns today. The Chiefs are projected by Vegas for at least 4 touchdowns, and I agree. I think they're scoring at least 4 touchdowns. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is plus 150 to score one. He's going to lead them in snaps. He's going to lead the backfield in touches. He's a good receiver. He could catch one. Or he could run one in, even though he's up against the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. What if the Chiefs blow out the Bucs? Which, again, I think is a possibility. My day's going great. Thank you for asking. Would you rather go Kelsey or Hill in a FanDuel or take both? I would personally rather Hill. I just think Tyreek Hill has more upside. How do you feel about the Bucs backfield in this game? Yeah, listen, playoff Lenny's a real thing. And I think that the Bucs have bought into playoff Lenny. Even though Ronald Jones was the pretty clear starter most of the season, Leonard Fournette was even a healthy scratch at one point late in the season. But playoff Lenny is the real thing. And I think playoff Lenny is going to lead that backfield in touches. And the running defense is the weakness of this Chiefs defense. They rank 20th against the run this season. And I don't even think that has a big impact on games because, again, passing efficiency and passing production is the single most important thing to winning NFL games. It's why we're seeing the top 2 passing offenses in the NFL in the Super Bowl. It's why we saw the top 4 passing offenses in the NFL as the final 4 teams remaining in the NFL. And if you want your team to be successful, if you're not a fan of any of the last 4 teams, the Packers, Bills, Chiefs, or Bucs, then you should be rooting for your team to improve their passing game because that is what impacts winning in the NFL more than anything. It's why I'm taking the Chiefs in this game. It's why it doesn't really matter that the Chiefs aren't that great at stopping the run, but it's also why you can talk yourself into Leonard Fournette today. Tyrann Mathieu MVP plus 6,000. Don't hate it, but I think that if Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady don't win the MVP, I'd be completely shocked. I'd be extremely surprised if one of those guys doesn't win MVP. Do you like the Godwin or Evans bet more? I like the Godwin bet more. I like Chris Godwin more than Mike Evans. Again, Chris Godwin, guys. He's gone 5 straight games with at least 7 targets. He's averaging 88 yards per game over his last 5, 4 of which he's gone over 75 yards. 4 of his last 5, he went over 75 yards. He's seeing consistent deep targets, so he's probably going to get a chance at a 40-yard play today. He turned 9 targets into 97 yards the last time he played this defense, who, by the way, this defense was very good against receivers. Number 2 defense against receivers this season. Second fewest yards allowed to receivers in the NFL was the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet Chris Godwin put up 97 against them last time, and he's probably going to do something similar today. Evans had Butterfingers last game. Yeah, that I don't think that's going to happen again today. And Mike Evans is probably going to clear his prop too. I like both of them a lot. What did the Bills-Chiefs game remind you of what the Chiefs can do? Yeah, I agree that the Chiefs-Bills game is another thing that it really hasn't been talked about enough. And I think that it tells us a very important lesson about this game. And it's that the Chiefs defense has a legit shot to shut this offense down. The Chiefs defense, guys, 10th in points per game allowed. They allowed the 5th lowest completion percentage. They already picked off Brady twice this season. They also locked up Josh Allen last week, who was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL this year. Josh Allen was better than Tom Brady this year. Anyone that was watching the NFL and judging it rationally or mathematically knows that Josh Allen was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL this season. Yet he was shut down by this Chiefs defense just 2 weeks ago. Tyrann Mathieu is a top 5 safety in the NFL. The Chiefs also blitz a lot. They have the 5th highest blitz rate in the NFL. Meanwhile, Tom Brady is not very good against the blitz this season. 20th against the blitz. Ranks 20th against the blitz. If I'm the Chiefs in this game, I am blitzing the heck out of Tom Brady early and often, and I'm trying to get that offense to turn the ball over. Because if the Buccaneers have just 2 turnovers in this game, it's not going to be close. It's really not going to be a close game if that happens. The Chiefs' weakness, again, is against the run. They rank 20th against the run this year. So that is a reason to buy into Leonard Fournette. What do you think of this parlay? Asked Dante. Anytime TD for Kelsey, Mike Evans, CEH, and Fournette, Godwin over 73.5 receiving yards. That looks like a lot of props. You think that Kelsey, Evans, Clyde, and Fournette are all going to score? I would probably take one of those guys out, and then I would like it. But this parlay was 25 to win 2,765. So I guess there's upside there. Score prediction. Yes, I have a score prediction. My score prediction is 37 for the Chiefs, 28 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is my score prediction. And I think that if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a very real shot to go over 30 points. And if they do, it should be a close game. Gronk will have the first 25-plus yard reception. We'll see about that. And by the way, I do like Gronk's props. I like him over 33 yards. I actually like the odds of him scoring a touchdown too. I didn't bet on either of those, but I do like them. I don't like them as much as the others, so I didn't bet on them. I like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Clyde a lot today. But Gronk, if you're betting on more props than what we've talked about so far, I do like Gronk. Over 33 yards. And yes, it's not the same Gronk. Obviously, it's not the same Gronk. But it wasn't the same Gronk the last time Gronk played in the Super Bowl. He made a catch in that game against the Rams to win the game. That was a probably worse version of Gronk then than it is now. So yeah, I don't hate the Gronk over 33 receiving yards. We know Tom Brady's going to be looking to his most reliable targets when it matters most. Do you like Sammy Watkins or Mecole Hardman better? I like Sammy Watkins more. I think Sammy Watkins is going to play ahead of Mecole Hardman. But I do like Mecole Hardman's kickoff potential in this game. I don't know if there's any kickoff props out there. I'm sure there are. But the Bucs allowed the most yards per kickoff this season. Let me see if I can find one of these. The Bucs allowed the most yards per kickoff this season. The most yards per kickoff. I think Mecole Hardman could break one loose today. Let's see if there's any kickoff props that I can find. Will there be a kick return for TD? There we are. Yes is plus 1,000. Yes for a kickoff return, touchdown, plus 1,000. Which means if you bet $100, you win 1,000. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Mecole Hardman against the worst kickoff defense in the NFL. One for the first kickoff to be a touchback. Yeah, that's a good one too. Almost all kickoffs are probably touchbacks. Where can you do these bets? If you live in a legal state, it's DraftKings and it's FanDuel. If you live in a legal state, it's DraftKings and it's FanDuel. If you don't live in a legal state, if you live in a legal state, again, it's DraftKings or FanDuel. If you don't live in a legal state, then you got to get creative. Do your research on how you can bet in your state. There's different options depending on the state. But in the next 10 years, by the way, it's going to be pretty much everywhere. Just DraftKings and FanDuel. I like DraftKings a little bit more, to be honest. Honestly, just because I'm a little bit more familiar with it. But they're pretty much the exact same thing. They're basically the exact same product. And both of them, I'm very bullish on. DraftKings is a publicly traded company too, and I think that they've been underpriced for quite some time. As more states legalize sports gambling, Dante, that's not what I said. Don't you skew my words, Dante. As more states legalize sports gambling, the market for sports gambling is just going to explode. And there's ways to legally bet on prop bets, even in states that don't allow sports betting, by DFS sites like Underdog Fantasy or PrizePicks. Both of those are available in a lot of states that don't allow sports gambling. Who do you think will have the bigger game, CEH or Fournette? I like Clyde to have a bigger game than CEH. Do you know if Massachusetts is legal? It's not legal yet. But PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy are both legal in Massachusetts. That's what I've been using. PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy. Again, those links are in the WalterPicks app if you need a place to find them under place props here. But I do think that my favorite prop of the day is Chris Godwin over 73 receiving yards. Again, he's gone over 75 yards in 4 of his last 5, 7+ targets in 5 straight games, averaging 88 receiving yards per game in that span. He's Brady's favorite target over the last month and a half. Why did you bet against Brady? I bet against Brady because he's not the best quarterback in this game. Not the best quarterback in this game. Yeah, hit that like button. I do appreciate that, Mitchell. I didn't set the 100 likes for a free prop today because we've been talking about props from the very beginning, and I like Chris Godwin's prop a lot. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown a lot today. I do like Mike Evans as well. I like all of Clyde's props because I think there's a chance the Chiefs blow out the Bucs. And I understand why pick against Brady. Never pick against Brady. I understand the logic, but I also don't think I'll ever pick against Patrick Mahomes. Maybe when he's 43, like Brady is now, because I've never really picked against Tom Brady in the playoffs. Not that I can remember in my lifetime. This is the first time. But you're not seeing things rationally if you don't realize that Patrick Mahomes right now is better than Tom Brady right now. And yeah, I agree. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. I'm in the camp of people. And I don't know how big of a group of people this is because it feels like people are on one side or the other over these last 2 weeks. But I'm in the group of people that believes Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. There's really, to me, not a really debate since the Falcons game. But he's also not the best quarterback in this game, and he's also going to lose this game. So I'm in the group of people that think he's the greatest of all time, but he's also losing this game. Who will have the most rushing yards in this game? It's probably going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, the Chiefs' weakness on defense is running. But if the Chiefs can get an early lead, it's going to be Clyde. It's going to be Clyde and the Chiefs. Never bet against Brady has been a profitable betting strategy for you for the last 20 years. It's helped me win a lot of money as a Pats fan. And I understand the never bet against Brady logic, but I need to introduce you to a new logic that's going to be fantastic for you over the next 20 years. And it's never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the fastest player ever to 10,000 passing yards, the fastest player ever to 100 touchdowns, the best completion percentage ever in your first 3 seasons. He's lost one playoff game in 3 years. And that one playoff game was against Tom Brady. And in that game, Patrick Mahomes still put up 40 points. His one playoff loss, he scored 40 points. And I agree. I don't think it's going to be easy for Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think it's going to be easy for Patrick Mahomes in this game, but I don't think it's going to be easy for Patrick Mahomes to surpass Tom Brady as the greatest of all time. Again, I think Brady's very clearly the greatest of all time. I think what he's done this season is extremely impressive. 40 touchdowns at the age of 43. And I think Mahomes is going to have to sustain this unsustainable efficiency, really, that he's had in his first 3 years. Efficiency that we've never seen from a quarterback before is what Patrick Mahomes has done in his first 3 years. And we're going to have to see him sustain that for 10 to 15 more years to be able to even start a conversation that he's better than Tom Brady all time. But there's really no conversation about who's better right now. It's Patrick Mahomes. And Aaron Rodgers was better than Brady this season too. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, just threw 340 yards against this defense. I think that's Patrick Mahomes' floor. Meanwhile, the Chiefs defense just locked down Josh Allen, who's also been better than Brady this season. Brady threw 3 picks last game. He threw 2 against the Chiefs the last time they played. Got to be careful with some player props, says Noah. Super Bowls are sometimes unexpectedly defensive games. Yeah, they have 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks to plan for this game, and it changes the landscape of the game because they have more time for preparation on the defensive side, but they also have more time to get creative on the offensive side. Do you think the Chargers got a good future? Yeah, because they have a top 10 quarterback in the NFL who's young, and that's Justin Herbert. Who's going to win? I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs. It's the first time I've ever picked against Tom Brady in the playoffs, and I don't think I'll ever pick against Mahomes in the playoffs if he continues to show what he's shown so far. Do you like the Evans or Godwin prop pick better? I like the prop pick for Chris Godwin a little bit better, but I got to admit the line for Evans is intriguing. 63.5 compared to 73.5 for Chris Godwin. It's just easier to clear 63.5. So I like both, but I would lean towards Godwin, to be honest. I bet $20 on Brady. Good luck. And I'm not gonna say there's no chance that the Bucs win. I'm definitely not going to say there's no chance the Bucs win. I would not be betting my money on Tom Brady. I actually had in this game. Let me change that statement. In this game, I actually I put two $50 futures on the Bucs in the playoffs. One of them for them to win the NFC that cashed $250, and also one of them to win the Super Bowl, 50 to win 500 if you bet on them at the beginning of the playoffs. And I already hedged that bet because I think the Chiefs are going to win. But it's not like I don't believe in the Bucs. I actually thought they had a chance to get here. Underdog is safe. I think that the Buccaneers are going to need to keep up on offense to have a chance in this game. And if the Chiefs defense can shut them down, it's not going to be close. On the flip side, if the Buccaneers defensive line cannot sack Patrick Mahomes at least 3 times in this game, I don't think the game's going to be very close. You talk about fantasy with your students. There's only really a few students of mine. I teach high school math. Only a few students of mine that are into fantasy football. Yeah, I talk with them about it. NBA prop time in an hour. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, there's a lot of NBA games today. I think 4 or 5 NBA games. We've got 1 NBA player prop. You can get that in the WalterPicks app to start your 3-day free trial. And I'm very confident about that one. We went 2 for 2 last night, over 64% on our NBA prop picks. Very excited about that. Devin White over under 10 total tackles. Honestly, I think I'd like the over. Devin White is a beast. Where will Wentz be traded? I think it's going to end up being the Chicago Bears or the Indianapolis Colts. The defensive line is one of the few advantages the Buccaneers have in this game. They need to exploit it. They need to. Again, I don't think you can name a better 6 players on the defensive side of the ball in any defense in the NFL than these 6 players. Levante David, Devin White, Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, and Vita Vea. Those 6 players all have the potential to be all pros every season. I mean, they're really, really good. Who do you think the Falcons are going to draft? If I'm the Falcons, I'm very much focused either on the offensive line or on the defensive side of things. I bet 25 on Hilaire and Williams combining for 80 rushing yards. Was that a stupid bet? I don't love it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense is number 1 in the NFL this season. I think I would have preferred just a straight up bet on Clyde, either rushing or receiving, because I don't have much faith in Darrell Williams to do really anything against the defensive line of the Bucs. I think I would rather Clyde Edwards-Helaire anytime TD than Fournette anytime TD, given the odds. I believe Fournette's odds aren't quite as good or about the same. I like Clyde to score a touchdown today a lot. I hope that doesn't ruin your parlay, Dante. But I am in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. First half, over under 28.5. If I had to bet on the over under, I would be betting on the over later in the game and the under earlier in the game. Tom Brady in 9 first quarters. He's played in 9 Super Bowls in his career. This is going to be his 10th. So he's played 9 first quarters in the Super Bowl. Combined in those 9 first quarters, he has scored 3 points. 3 points. And this stat sounds surprising, but if you're a Pats fan, it's actually not that surprising. All of our Super Bowls have been super stressful for Pats fans. Did we have a single Super Bowl that wasn't close? I mean, And as part of the reason is we never scored in the first quarter. And if the Buccaneers don't score in the first quarter in this game, they're going to lose. It's not in the range. Like, it's not an option for the Buccaneers. If they want to win this game, you got to score in the first quarter. Yeah, Sebastian, they were all stressful as Pats fans. Even the ones we lost, we were very much in. Even the games the Patriots lost, the Eagles game, the two Giants games, those games were games. Like, they were close. Has Tom Brady ever won a non-stressful Super Bowl? This one's not going to be different. How do you think the Bucs D will hold? Yeah, I don't think they're going to hold. And again, I think that the Buccaneers defense is one of the keys of this game. If the Buccaneers want to win, they're going to need to get at least 5 sacks, which they got on Aaron Rodgers just in their last game. And Aaron Rodgers the offensive line for the Packers was just as good, if not better, than the Chiefs' offensive line this season. So I think there's a possibility they can do it. But I do think that they're not going to stop the Chiefs' offense. Like, Aaron Rodgers, other than the 5 sacks, and I think 1 interception for Aaron Rodgers had a good game. I remember like 20 passes into that game, Aaron Rodgers had like 1 incompletion. Aaron Rodgers threw for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think that's the floor for Mahomes. I don't think Mahomes is going to do any worse than that. Someone asked about a kickoff return touchdown. I actually like it. I like the kickoff return touchdown today for McCole Hardman, who's up against a kickoff team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers allowed the most return yards per game in the NFL. The most return yards in the NFL. The Rams one is the only one I can think of, but even that one was stressful because it was always close. Yeah, I agree, Sebastian. That Rams Super Bowl for the Patriots was probably the least stressful one because you just knew Jared Goff was simply not going to do anything in that game. And honestly, the rift between Jared Goff and Sean McVay probably started there, where Goff really just could not get it done with a fantastic defense. I mean, the Bucs will win because their own home field advantage. I don't think the home field advantage is very much at play. There's going to be about 1/4 of the normal attendance, and about half of the fans will not be Buccaneers fans. So it's really not a true home game. They're not even going to be firing the cannons when the Buccaneers score. Though the Buccaneers did get to kind of chill in their normal home routine, which was nice for them and probably helps. But the Chiefs also got to stay in Kansas City longer than normal due to the COVID restrictions. So I don't think there's any real home field advantage. And I don't think you should be thinking about it any more than that. The weather also probably isn't going to have any impact. There was some scattered thunderstorms. Hopefully that doesn't do anything to the game. How do you see the first drive playing out for the Chiefs and Bucs? I like this question a lot. And by the way, I said this for the Buffalo Bills too. I think I've said this for the Cleveland Browns as well. The Browns won the coin toss and elected to give the Chiefs the ball. If I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I want the ball first, and I want to score first in this game. And so I think the Buccaneers are going to end up starting with the ball. I think the Buccaneers and the Chiefs, I won't be surprised if they both score in their first drive. But I'm more confident in the Chiefs to score in their first drive than the Bucs. So if I'm predicting the first drive outcome for both teams, I would probably say Chiefs touchdown, Buccaneers punt. How you make money, bro? How do I make money? Well, I have a full-time job. That's one way. I also am the CEO of the WalterPicks brand, the WalterPicks app I helped build, the WalterPicks algorithm to identify exploitable prop picks I've helped build. And we've been dominating prop bets. We've had over 65% accuracy on over 200 picks in the NFL. And we like Chris Godwin. We like Mike Evans. And we like Clyde Edwards-Helaire today. Yes, Tyler, I do think the Chiefs are winning. I do think, and there's people in the comments. I understand. Don't bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. I get it. But I also would not be ever betting against Patrick Mahomes. And maybe when he's 43 years old, when Tom Brady, like what Tom Brady is now. Because Tom Brady is not in his prime. I don't think there's an argument against it. And Patrick Mahomes is in his prime. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win. Who do you think will have the best game out of the Bucs wide receivers? I think Chris Godwin is who I would pick. But I think Antonio Brown could have a very big impact on this game. Yeah, I agree, Tyler. -3 does kind of feel like a steal for the Chiefs. You see Pat McAfee dropped 30,000 on tails. Yeah, it's hilarious. He's very funny. And I think that it's a hilarious bet. And I'm rooting for him. I actually think it will be tails too. So I don't if you're betting on the coin test, let's ride with tails. What will be Hilaire's yards? Well, his over under is 33 yards for rushing, and I think it's around 15 for receiving. I think he's going to go over both of those. I won't be surprised if he has 50 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Yeah, Pat McAfee is a legend. I totally agree. First quarter under 10. Philip, that's one of the most popular bets this Super Bowl because both teams have been slow in the beginning of games. And again, Brady has combined 3 points in 9 first quarters in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I don't hate the under in the first quarter. Over under 1.158 for the national anthem. What's your pick? If you can still bet on that, you got to go bet on the over instantly because we already saw a video of the warm up. It's been all over social media. And the warm up, the practice run for the national anthem, which was recorded and posted all over social media, lasted about 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So if you can still bet on the over under for the national anthem, you got to go hammer the over if it hasn't changed yet. How many passing TDs do you think Mahomes will get? I think he's getting at least 3. And I think Brady's probably going to have at least 3 too. Did you see Russell Wilson thing against Brady compared to the Pat Mahomes against Brady? No, I didn't see that. Will there be a field goal in the third quarter? I do not know, Kevin. I do not know if there's going to be a field goal in the third quarter. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But if there is a field goal in this game, there's probably going to be at least 3 field goals to the game. So probably 1 per quarter is what I would expect. What's your 5-player lineup in DFS today? Thank you for asking. Let's pull it up. I'm maxed out entries in the draft, one of the DraftKings games today, one of the DraftKings lobbies. And my most common captain, I'm being very contrarian today in my captain pick because in the slate with against so many people with just one game, you gotta have some contrarian lineups in there to really maximize your upside. And the story I'm telling with this lineup is that the Chiefs blow out the Buccaneers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire scores multiple touchdowns on the path to that happening. And so my lineup here, I went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the captain slot. Then I was able to fit in Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and Chris Godwin. I like Chris Godwin a lot in this game. And then with my other 2 spots, I went with the 2 kickers. Harrison Butker and Ryan Succop are very interesting options on DraftKings and FanDuel. With such a high over-under expected in this game, around 57 points Vegas is projecting. Butker and Succop are going to be a part of that, and so you just kind of lock in guaranteed points in your lineup if you have them. And again, I went with Clyde in the captain slot. I like him today a lot. I think he has a better chance at multiple touchdowns than people are expecting. Over under 3 interceptions combined, I'd definitely go under there. What color shirt will the Weeknd wear at halftime? I have no idea. The halftime props are hilarious. This is why it's the national sports betting. This is a national betting holiday in the NFL. And I have very, very few opinions about the halftime show. The best props that I have today are Chris Godwin, over 73.5 receiving yards. I like Mike Evans, over 63 yards as well. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the plus odds to score a touchdown too. I like them all. And I'm very excited for this game. I think that the Chiefs are going to win. They have the best player in the NFL. The best player in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes right now. The greatest of all time is Tom Brady. And again, I'm in the camp of people who believe Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, but also that he's going to lose this game. And I feel like there's not that many people in that camp with me. Is anyone in the comments in that camp? Score prediction. I'm taking the Chiefs 37, the Buccaneers 28. Aaron Rodgers just threw for 340 yards against this defense, this Buccaneers defense. Patrick Mahomes is going to do at least the same. What color jersey will the Bucs wear, red or black? I think this was already announced. I think it was black, but I forget. I agree with you. Chiefs win, but rooting for Brady. Yeah, I'm rooting for Brady too. And I'm rooting for the Chiefs because I have some money on them to win. But I'm also rooting for Brady because we need the conversation about if he's greatest of all time should have ended a while ago. And so I'm always rooting for things to add to that. Add to Tom Brady being the GOAT. I'm always rooting for those. Mahomes over 23.5 rushing yards. They don't love it with the toe injury. I just don't love it. Brady is the GOAT. I don't think there's really any debate about it. And he's going to have to play very, very well in this game if they want a chance. And a lot of the topic of conversation this week has been about Tom Brady. And I think for some good reason, right? He is a big part of this game, but I don't think that's the entire story of the game. The Buccaneers defense has a chance to keep them in the game if they can get sacks. They got 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers in their last game. They were the top 5 offensive line for the Packers. They were missing their left tackle too, the Chiefs without Eric Fisher today. I don't think that's going to have a huge impact. I'm more concerned about Andrew Wiley at guard. You said you liked Brady over 2.5 touchdowns. Yeah, I do. There is a rushing line for Brady at 0.5. I don't think Brady's getting a single rushing yard in this game, but I could be wrong. The best FanDuel MVP player, Grayson. I like Clyde. Who's going to win? I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. Yeah, the Chiefs do have a few backups on their offensive line. One of them is actually a guy that I think is okay. Mike Reimers has been okay, a serviceable offensive lineman in the NFL in his career. But their starting guard, Andrew Wiley, is not good. Not good. Yeah, I like Clyde as a sneaky MVP play on FanDuel and DraftKings if you're not going with Mahomes or Brady, because you really should have some lineups with Mahomes and Brady. Derrick Rose got traded to the Knicks. Yikes. We need to get... If you got a ring, would you... Heister? I don't know even know what that means. Wait, the Chiefs lost 2 linemen? No, the Chiefs lost 1 lineman. They've been without a few of their starting linemen for a while now. And Andrew Wiley would have been starting in this game had Eric Fisher been in or out. But Andrew Wiley is still the biggest weakness of the offensive line. Their backup left tackle is better than Andrew Wiley. If the Bucs win, is it a lock for Brady to be Super Bowl MVP? Yes. Brady and Mahomes are I would be shocked if we saw anyone other than Brady and Mahomes win the Super Bowl MVP. Guys, as always, I'm going to be ending this live stream on YouTube. I like to do this because the comment section in YouTube is where it is at. Much easier to manage. And so I'll be leaving the TikTok live stream in just 3 minutes, but I'll be live 10 more minutes on YouTube. So you got to come over to that YouTube stream. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube too. If you haven't, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate all the follows, the subscribers. I appreciate everyone who's tried out the WalterPicks app a lot too. Seriously, do appreciate everyone who's joined the journey this season. The WalterPicks brand is basically finishing up its very first season in the NFL today. In our first season, we went from 0 to 50,000 followers on TikTok. We went from 0 to almost 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. And this is really only the beginning for WalterPicks. So I'm very excited to be wrapping up our first season. Let's go D-Book. Agreed. I'm in on Devin Booker today. What are your top 10 picks for the day, says Maxwell. Let me go through some of mine. We'll see if I can get to 10. I like Chris Godwin to go over 73.5 receiving yards. That's probably my favorite pick of the day. Second favorite pick of the day is Mike Evans over 63.5 receiving yards. The third pick of the day is Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. After that, I think I like Gronk's receiving yards. I think I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire's receiving yards prop. There's 5. I like Leonard Fournette or Antonio Brown to score a touchdown. There's 6 and 7. I also do think that Sammy Watkins has a chance to be a sleeper in this game. This is not old news for Sammy Watkins. We've seen Sammy Watkins already last season. He basically did very well in game 1, then was pretty much an afterthought the entire season, but then does well in the playoffs. And he's going to be back. He's going to be back today. He's at somewhat level of health, a good enough level of health that he's going to be in this game and involved. Godwin's line we've seen moved as high as 79.5. I would take it right up to that. I wouldn't take it at 80. We haven't projected, I think, for 86. Yes, Max, we do give out some free NBA player prop picks. You got to be following us on Twitter for those, for a lot of them. At WalterPicks on Twitter. Where would you place $100? Probably on Chiefs money line or on Chris Godwin to go over 73.5 receiving yards. If we're off the player props, I like the Chiefs money line and the spread, but I'm rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to cover the spread because I'm rooting for my guy Mattress Mac, who helped us get our first TikTok video ever to go over 1 million views. Not our last, hopefully. So shout out to Mattress Mac. I'm hoping that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers cover the spread for him. What's up, Sam? He put $3.5 million in the spread for the Buccaneers, by the way, for anyone who didn't see the video. What color does Walter say is the Gatorade shower? I think it's going to be orange or red. That is not Walter saying that, though. That's just me. That's just Sam. Fournette over under. I like Fournette's receiving over. I don't love his rushing over. But the weakness of the Chiefs defense has been rushing. Walter has Leonard Fournette projected for right around what his line is at. So I think that the prop set for Leonard Fournette is pretty fair. I've been following Mattress Mac since 2017. Yeah, Mattress Mac has been around a while. He lost a lot of money on the Rays that one year. Was it the Rays or was the Astros, I think? Ronald Jones receptions over 0.5. Don't hate it. My name is not Walter. It's a classic mistake. Don't worry. I built an artificially intelligent algorithm. His name is Walter. My name is Sam. The WalterPicks app is powered by Walter, our AI algorithm. One of my missions is to have our analysis be more about math, more about modeling, which is why the brand is Walter. It's not me. This is not just someone's personal opinion. It is a mathematical algorithm that we're using to dominate sports bets and DFS. Kelsey, anytime TD, what do you think? Yeah, he's probably scoring. Tyreek Hill's probably scoring too. I don't hate Tom Brady under 5 rushing yards, by the way. I don't hate it. Is your friend who started the algorithm with you still involved? Yes, he is, Spencer. We co-founded WalterPicks together. He's still doing a ton of work for us. Does WalterPicks think Bucks or Chiefs? Listen, we simulated this game 10,000 times, just like we simulated every game this year 10,000 times. And I do think that the Chiefs are going to win, and Walter agrees with the simulations. 10,000 simulations gave the Chiefs a 58% chance to win the game. That sounds about right to me. What classes did you need to take in college to learn all this? Liam, my favorite class in college that set me up for the most success in my machine learning class was linear algebra. Machine learning is really linear algebra. You're teaching a computer how to do linear algebra. That's essentially what machine learning is. So linear algebra helps. Statistics also helped. I took 3 statistics classes. Thanks for all you do, Sam. I'm going to head out. See you, Sebastian. Guys, I'm live for 8 more minutes. I'm going to end this TikTok stream. Y'all got to work on NBA picks, man. We went 2 for 2 last night, and we're over 65% accurate, over double digit up on units in terms of NBA. But we have had a rough week so far before last night. All right, we are live on YouTube now. For the last few minutes of the stream, we got 7 minutes left. Answer any questions you have. I do like Devin Booker today. That Celtics game's starting in just around 30 minutes. Very excited for that. How many people are on your team, Max? We have a very small team. Our team is less than 10 people. I think it's 8 in total we have on the team. But we're growing, and we're growing fast. So I expect that number to increase. Gronk, Miller, Watkins, or Hardman as a sleeper in FanDuel. I like Gronk probably the most, then Watkins. I don't trust Scotty Miller or McCole Hardman really at all today with Antonio Brown and Sammy Watkins back. Do you like Tyreek Hill over 94.5 receiving yards? Dante, don't hate it. What's your favorite Super Bowl moment of all time? Probably the Malcolm Butler pick. That's probably my favorite Super Bowl moment of all time. I honestly don't think anything will ever be able to beat that. But the Falcons game rivals it very closely. The Edelman catch. A lot of parts of that Falcons game were probably the best moments. But to me, Malcolm Butler is never going to be beat. That is very tough, Jake. Hate to hear that. Again, I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to be stopped. And that's why I really like all of Clyde's props. I like him over 33.5 receiving yards. I like him to score a touchdown today. I like him over rushing yards and receiving yards. I won't be surprised at all if Mike Evans scores a touchdown, but I like his receiving yards line the most, 63.5. I think that's a better question for Google than me, Spencer. My favorite moment is Joe Montana to beat the Bengals 20-16. Wow, that's a good one too. Speaking of Joe Montana, would you have picked a 25-year-old Tom Brady over a 43-year-old Joe Montana? Because that's what people are essentially doing today. They're picking a 43-year-old Tom Brady over a 25-year-old Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's a good idea. I really don't. Patrick Mahomes in his offense is one of the best offenses we've ever seen in the NFL. Do you like Evans to score a touchdown today? He scored a lot of TDs in the past 6 games. Yes, he did. and he's going to have at least one shot to score one today. How do you feel about Godwin and Evans over on receiving yards? Nathan, it's one of my 2 favorite prop bets of the day. I like Chris Godwin over 73.5 receiving yards. This is my favorite bet of the day. But I also like Mike Evans over 63.5. I also like Clyde to score a touchdown. And if you're betting on the first touchdown of the game, look no further than Clyde. A $50 bet on him to score the first touchdown nets you about $1,000. Pretty good odds. I'm liking those odds. I still think Aaron Rodgers is the undisputed GOAT talent-wise. Yeah, I think the talent conversation is a different conversation. And I think it's important to understand when we're talking about greatest of all time that it is a different conversation than most talented of all time. Because the most talented players, and if you played sports, you know this is true too, the most talented players aren't always the most successful. They're not always the best. And Tom Brady's the best ever. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. The goal is to win. And that is exactly what Tom Brady has done. And yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers probably was more talented than Tom Brady throughout their careers. And there's a lot of stats to back that up too. But I still think Brady's the undisputed greatest of all time. Do you like Antonio Brown or Fournette more to score a TD? I think I like the odds with Antonio Brown more. What's the most profitable FanDuel 5-player lineup? Greg, I think I read my DraftKings lineup. FanDuel one's going to be very similar. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, and then the 2 kickers. I like that one a lot. All 5 of those players, you're guaranteeing at least 5 points. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, to me, has multiple touchdown upside. Mahomes over 330, probably, Josh. Aaron Rodgers just put up 340. He just put up 340 against this exact same defense. Playoff Lenny or Clyde to finish with more yards. It's probably going to end up being playoff Lenny, but I like the odds with Clyde. I think you're getting pretty good odds there. And again, Clyde is more likely to be on the team with a big lead. Because if the Bucs have a lead, it's not going to last for very long. Don't hate Fournette to score a touchdown today either. I think if you're betting on first touchdown of the game, I like the odds with Clyde, Antonio Brown, and Leonard Fournette the most. Those are my favorite bets. And again, I'm going with the Chiefs. I believe Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, but I don't think this is his game. Patrick Mahomes is too good. The Chiefs offense is too good. Le'Veon Bell over under 6 touches. Is that really what the line is? Because he's absolutely going under that. We've confirmed Le'Veon Bell is washed. Any Le'Veon Bell props you can find, I would definitely bet the under. He's been confirmed washed for a while now. By a while, I mean like 2 or 3 weeks. When he was playing under Darrell Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out. Do you like the Kansas City winning margin 1 to 13 points? Yeah, Dante. Don't hate it. I like them to win the game. I honestly like them to cover the spread, but I like the money line a little bit more than the spread. Whatever happens tonight, we got to enjoy the football on our television screens because it's going to be a while until our next important real football game. It's going to be a long time. It's been a fantastic season. It feels like the season started just yesterday. So we're going to enjoy the football game. No matter what happens in this game, it's going to be a very entertaining game. I mean, this game could literally finish with only 20 points, and it will be extremely entertaining. So this is going to be in my mind, one of the most entertaining Super Bowls of all time. I'm going to miss football too. It'll be back before we know it, though. And we'll be doing fantasy football draft content way too soon. What are the odds Wentz goes to the Bears for Foles, Tariq Cohen, maybe a pick? Yeah, I do like Carson Wentz to go to the Bears or the Colts. I think he's going to the Bears or the Colts. I'd be pretty surprised if it was either team other than that. My favorite sleeper for the game is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And he's a sleeper because he's not being projected to do very much. They're projecting him for 33 yards. Vegas has him at 33 yards. Vegas has him at 15 receiving yards. I think he's going to go over both of those. And I think he's going to score a touchdown too. So I like him in DFS. I like his props. I think he's going to lead the Chiefs backfield in touches, a team that could get a big lead in this game. So I do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I like the Chiefs to win. And I absolutely think the Buccaneers have a chance. I think it's going to be a good game. Again, I think that the ways that the Buccaneers can win, it's the Buccaneers defensive line getting sacks and Antonio Brown being on the field as much as possible, making their offense extremely hard to cover. Sam, what's your thoughts on FanDuel Boost 5 to win 275? I picked the Chiefs on this. Yeah, I like it. Chris Jones or Barrett, which player has more sacks? It's probably going to be Barrett. But I like Chris Jones a lot today too. And Chris Jones could have a big impact on this game. Again, I think the Chiefs defense will wrap up with the Chiefs defense because I do think the Chiefs defense has not been talked enough about. Really not at all. I have heard very few people talk about the Chiefs defense, and I think it needs to be talked about. They're 10th in points per game allowed, the 5th lowest completion percentage allowed. They just locked down Josh Allen, who's been way better than Tom Brady this season. They've allowed the 2nd fewest yards per game to receivers. I still like Evans and Godwin today. With Antonio Brown playing, it's hard to cover all of them. But they blitz at the 4th highest rate in the NFL, and Tom Brady's 20th against the blitz. So I think the Chiefs defense could be an overlooked part of the game for a lot of people. I like Carlton Davis probably to have more picks than Snead, but I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to throw an interception. So I'd probably go Snead. Greg, let me run through my picks for the day. Everything that I bet on, I'm going to run through really quickly to end the stream, to finalize our last stream of the season. Seriously, everyone that followed us this season, really do appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to dominating next season together and throughout the next NBA season. By the way, we're going to be live Wednesday night doing our first NBA live stream. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire to score a touchdown. I like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans over receiving yards. I like the Chiefs to win the game. I think the Chiefs will cover the spread, but I wouldn't bet on it. And I do like Rob Gronkowski's over receiving yards. I also like all of the other Clyde props. I like him over receiving and rushing, with how low they set those lines. I also think that Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette have a pretty good chance at a touchdown. Those are probably all my favorite prop bets in this game. And again, I'm rooting for Clyde. Probably the most money I can make in this game is if Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Antonio Brown scores the first touchdown. So I'm absolutely rooting for that. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I look forward to dominating the next NFL season together. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope you stay safe if you're gathering with other people. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Happy National Sports Betting Day. This is the biggest sports betting day of the year. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope we all run extremely hot to end the NFL season. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be live Wednesday night to talk some NBA. I will see you all then.